We're live.
Shazam 2
Shazam. That's what we say when we start the show. Shazam.
made 65.5 million in its first 2 weekends, falling far, far short of the first Shazam film. Now that the dust has settled and the bitterness of the box office bomb is setting in, we're learning what went wrong with Shazam 2. Right from the director, David F. Sandberg, and Shazam himself, Zachary Levi. We've also heard reports that The Rock, Dwayne Johnson again, meddled with this movie behind the scenes and yet again harmed a Shazam film. Do you smell what I'm cooking?
Smells like shit.
Smells like sabotage. Smells like drama. Smells like my favorite time of the week. Welcome to the Comics Pals podcast. I'm Sean. Joined this week, full house, by Kale,
What's up, hot dogs?
Marco,
Ear.
Tyler.
Dip, 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 dip. Wow.
That's one way to introduce yourself.
That's only for Kale. And any Sean and fans
can.
out there.
I don't think you can do that.
I can't?
I don't think so.
Does that summon something?
It might.
All right.
Well, you don't want to do that.
Good vibes.
You might provoke the fury of the gods.
Oof.
Oh, come on.
Ugh.
So,
That one sunk like a rock.
all right. So Shazam's out. It hasn't done very well. Everybody's talking about the movie. I don't know whether it was good or not. Obviously, I haven't seen it. The Rotten Tomatoes score is not great. The audience score is better. But even that is, you can't even really tell because these movies get review bombed. Non-Zack Snyder DC movies get review bombed. And that's a problem that this movie did suffer. But the blame game has begun, which is my favorite part of a DC movie underperforming every time.
Sean likes a good pointed finger.
It's so fun. Yeah, I love the drama. It's exciting. And so we're gonna get into it. If you're watching live, do say hello. Love to hear from you all. We've got a lot of show to do outside of this, but we are going to be talking about the fallout of Shazam 2. So, movie does poorly. Zachary Levi and David F. Sandberg have been all over social media this week. And I think the first shot really came from Sandberg because he was all over the map talking about how he knew this would happen. He knew that the movie was going to underperform. He said that hey, he was like, this was so funny. He was like, at least I made my money up front.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Right. He knows what's up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. Like, Shazam could have good movies, I think.
This one wasn't bad.
Oh, that's right. I forgot you saw it. We did a whole Marco minute on it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This was good. I think it's worth the watch at the very least.
Shame it won't happen.
So yeah, Sandberg said, he doesn't regret even for a second making the movies. He talked about how he is disconnecting from the superhero discourse for now, and that he's done making these for a little while. He said, quote, "I wasn't expecting a repeat of the first film critically, but I was still a little surprised because I think it's a good film. Oh, well."
Yeah. Yeah.
What else can you say? Yeah.
I mean, it is a bad look for him that the movie didn't do well. It might impact him in the future. We'll see. I gotta imagine he's got some sour grapes, though. I have to imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. I think him saying I saw this coming is him being as polite as he could possibly be.
Right. Without, just going scorched earth over it.
I just had the fury of the gods. If you're watching live, my camera arm broke, and then my mic arm broke, and I was just struggling with it on camera, so I had to turn my camera off.
What you get for talking blasphemy about this movie?
Somebody struck me there. That was a double whammy.
So then Zachary Levi, who of course plays Shazam,
Of course.
he was all over the place. First of all, he retweeted or on Instagram, he shared an image from an article claiming that The Rock had meddled in this movie. That, in fact, The Rock had prevented them from using characters from the Justice Society in the movie, in one of the after credit scenes. So,
Oh,
yeah, and Zachary Levi shared that and said, "The truth shall set you free."
wow.
Didn't he say, or I read somewhere that it was like supposed to be like an after credit scene of the JSA recruiting Shazam?
Dude, why would you say that? I was trying not to.
Oh,
Spoiler.
I have a track I'm
it
on.
didn't
You know?
happen, so I don't think it's a spoiler if it didn't happen.
I have a track. You know,
Well,
storytelling.
you need to give me the whole script next time. 'Cause apparently, I like to
Yeah.
jump it.
I know that.
He likes
So-
to dump it.
It's remarkable. So Zachary Levi ended up doing an Instagram live where, first of all, this shit was erratic. I've never seen a guy so up and down emotionally.
Ooh, really?
Did you guys watch it? You watched it, Kill?
I watched bits of it. Zachary Levi is one of the most annoying people on the planet for me. So I cannot handle too much of it.
Dude, when he started singing, I wanted to die. Like, please shut up.
Oh god, theater kid style.
Oh my god, yeah. Oh, brutal. The worst. Like, I never want to engage with that ever in my life.
You know what?
Yeah.
Zachary Levi feels like a child in a man's body. Like I know that's
Oh.
what Shazam is, but like,
Just the whiniest piss baby.
So it was annoying, and his emotions were all over the map. But he did talk about, you know, what has happened in the wake of Shazam doing poorly. And he basically, without saying anybody's name, confirmed the report that The Rock had meddled. And listen, from the first Shazam, that Black Adam was supposed to be in it. And The Rock said no. The Rock said, no, that's not what we're going to do. We're going to do two separate movies. And I think it's a pretty commonly held opinion now that Shazam was hurt by the fact that Black Adam wasn't in it. And Black Adam was hurt by the fact that Black Adam wasn't in Shazam.
not gonna work for me, brother. Dwayne Johnson.
He's on his Hogan shit. 100%. He is absolutely in his Hogan era.
The Hollywood part of Hollywood Hogan.
The Hollywood Hogan. We are seeing Hollywood rock right now. A
Lived
revival.
Lived long enough to see himself become the villain.
Indeed.
It would have been a totally different movie.
Had The Rock been in the first one?
Yeah,
It's
the
also
first one
like-
or even the second one. Like it just not the tone.
Shazam also like does not have the biggest rogues gallery of well-known characters. So like them just saying, "All right, your main one." Nah, we're not doing that. That's like saying like I don't know if Captain America was like, "You know what? I don't think we should do Red Skull." You know, Batman, Joker. No, we're not going to touch on Joker. It just makes no sense.
You
What do
say
they-
no to Red Skull. Who's next? Batroc the Leaper?
Well, hold on. I'm a Batroc fan, so don't get me started.
I know. I'm in the
GSP.
wrong.
GSP is great.
So they took Shazam's biggest enemy from him. They put him up in this one against three, geriatrics.
Generic people.
Yeah, and all credit to those actors. That's completely fine, and there's nothing wrong with them. It's just that, we know who Shazam's villains are. Can we see them? create new concept. I think they're new concepts. I'm not sure, but you don't have to like bend over backwards. Just give us what we expect to see. They didn't do that, and so this is what we now know about The Rock. The Rock did not want a Justice Society presence in this movie because they had just used those characters in Black Adam. And apparently The Rock is intent on segregating the Black Adam character from Shazam as much as possible.
Thankfully, you said Adam at the end there.
Amazing.
So yeah, I mean that's pretty much the long and short of it.
Which is weird because if I guess at that point he just wasn't interested in integrating the universe, you know? Like why
Yeah,
his
like,
part of it, you know?
who the fuck is this guy? Like,
Or
I
like
just decided you can't use these characters in somebody else's movie.
yeah, right? Like
He's like, yeah.
it would connect his stuff even better at that point as well. Like you'll have the cohesion of Black Adam followed up by Shazam 2. Oh, this got pulled in. Like that's interesting. Like you could try to pull people into the next movie with that because they're related. They should be related.
Yeah, I mean the end credit scene as it stands has some relationship to Black Adam, but it's way less obvious than it would have been had there been JSA characters there. And quite frankly, that makes a lot of sense. If you saw Black Adam, or if you just know the JSA, it seems to me like Shazam would make sense as a part of that group or, you know, in relationship with them. So to just not do it when that was the plan to do, it's like, how much can you screw with a franchise?
But my other thing is like, how does The Rock have this much sway? Is he just like physically intimidating? Like he's not anywhere in a position of power outside of a starring role and a producer of that movie. How was he able to just throw his weight around like this?
So we have to think about the fact that this is a movie that's been in production obviously for a while. And if you go back a year ago, if you go back, you know, before the Black Adam release, The Rock had a lot more stroke. The Rock had a ton more of a position of power. There were talks of him even spearheading the future of the DCU, being an integral part of that puzzle.
Yep.
So a guy who has that, in my mind, yeah, he can make some demands, and people acquiesce to keep him happy,
even if he's faking it. Like,
right? And this is the old regime. These people couldn't say no to anybody.
Yeah,
man, I should have pitched something.
You should have. But
that little worm guy never pulled through.
No.
Yeah.
What's your mind?
what was that about?
Teases.
They should have followed up on that. I don't understand why they just left that on the cutting room floor. But The Rock just can't stay out of it. And apparently, this has turned more of the Warner Brothers Discovery behind the scenes group against The Rock. So I have a feeling this will be the last time we hear about a new, Rock situation when it comes to DC. I think that relationship is done.
good.
Did you see what else Zachary Levi tweeted about?
No, I guess not. Go ahead.
He tweeted that. Let me get the exact quote here. Somebody tweeted at him saying, "Zack Snyder fans were happy for the failure of your film as like a sort of punishment for Warner Brothers not pursuing the Snyder Cut." And Zachary Levi quote tweeted it saying, "This is also true, sad but true. How much that actually affects the box office is anyone's guess. But I think the biggest issue we're having is marketing. This is a perfect family movie, yet a lot of families aren't aware of that." And then he deleted that because he ticked off Snyder fans.
Hey, she's such a whiny piss baby.
Yo.
He was, in the Instagram live, he talked a lot about that. He talked about Snyder fans who have, I mean, I don't know. It's like they didn't go see the movie, you didn't make their money. What were they going to go see it? Like, they weren't going to go see it. So it really doesn't matter. I think from a review bombing standpoint, yes, that's a factor. But look, the Shazam 1 didn't light the world on fire. You know, it was okay. It wasn't a bad movie, and I can't comment on the quality of the second one. I've heard a lot of people like it, but word of mouth coming out of the first Shazam wasn't exactly, you missed the boat on this. This was incredible.
The best most people say is, wow, what a cool Christmas film.
Yeah,
sure. And I think Zachary is correct in the sense that Warner probably could have pushed the family aspect more. It is weird that they don't seem to really talk about that, even though it's the Shazam family. Yeah. And those characters are all on Front Street, but they don't expressly state that.
The release of this film seemed like a very strategic thing money-wise. It was, hey, we can release this movie and we can get enough money from it to justify releasing it, but we don't need to increase the marketing budget because then we wouldn't be making money anymore. It felt like, all right, we're not doing anything more with this. This isn't going to matter, you know, once James Gunn takes over. But we can at least make our money back if we release it.
But I mean, every time I have the TV on, I see a commercial.
Yeah,
I'm seeing it. It's just that I don't care about it.
You see Shazam like ads and stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. Every time I have the TV
I don't
on,
watch cable, so I don't really see it.
It's everywhere over here for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the messaging is incorrect. I do agree with Zach that they should be targeting families, but also families have adults in them who probably know that the movie's not for them. So I don't know. It's hard to say where that shakes out, but I think making it about the Snyder fans is just not a good look because your movie should stand on its merits. Yeah. You know, Snyder fans didn't stop the Batman from doing amazing, you know, which is not a, you know, core Zack Snyder film, because Batman fans went and took a look. So I think that's BS. But The Rock is just the worst. Legit, in my mind, right? Heel turn on the human being, Dwayne Johnson at this point.
Yikes.
That Roman Reigns match is never happening.
No. This was the last year.
He might need it to get back into the popular.
He just needs to go back to Disney. They seem to like him, and they know how to control their actors, so like he has no real sway. And like, just do Jungle Cruise 2. Keep doing that stuff.
Some family.
That's where I like
movie.
you.
It's
Stay over there.
And I sincerely hope this is the end of DC's era of giving power to actors and producers. It has to end. And I'm saying actors and producers, not actor producers.
Right.
Actor producers, that's the worst. But the prior regime of DC's problem was that there were too many people whose agendas felt needed to be served. Too many producers who have production companies that are making huge money, whether these movies succeed or not. So, of course, you're going to push your own agenda. It keeps you locked in, and you're making money regardless.
It's wild how spineless a studio felt, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I legitimately feel like I could have walked over there and pitched something. And, you know, if you get, like, an actor to be like, yeah, this sounds good, you could have had something made at that point. But unless it was Batgirl.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing. It really is. James Gunn has a lot of work to do to redeem Warner Brothers Discovery and DC at this point. For all the stuff that's happened at Marvel over the years, and we're going to talk about some of that a little bit later, when have you ever seen this?
No. They keep that shit tightly wrapped.
Yeah.
There's no drama, or at least there's no perceived drama.
The most was like Scarlett Johansson, I think. Back, you know, like during like the pandemic about her getting paid and stuff.
Movie,
like,
movie came out.
And even that was about, I think, wasn't that not about payment? And
that was about
finances?
payment, for Black Widow, and then like her Tower of Terror movie and stuff. Yeah.
Right. So
which
okay,
think,
that's not a great look, but we're not talking about like just
Yeah.
the studio bending over backwards for random people.
Yeah.
And I don't think this was what was happening by any means, but the original Edgar Wright's Ant-Man, right?
Mm.
That didn't happen because Edgar Wright wanted to make Edgar Wright's Ant-Man, and Marvel wanted him to make Ant-Man.
Yeah.
And whether we like that or not, Marvel is saying in those moments, no, we control our own movies.
Yeah. I'm still
worked.
hoping an Edgar Wright Marvel movie comes out eventually. But
Nah.
Keep dreaming.
Side note, do you think Warner Brothers is kicking themselves in the ass for not releasing Batgirl, where their main villain was Oscar winner Brendan Fraser? Like,
No.
no? All right.
I don't think.
I was watching an interview with him on Howard that would happen a couple weeks back. But.
I don't even think those same people are there at this
Fair,
point
yeah.
to regret that. Like,
Well, the shelving of that happened in the WB Discovery
With
era,
Zaslav,
so
right? Yeah.
they are there, but they've all said this movie was unreleasable in on the big screen.
And we're in agreement that Zaslav is a fourth dimension imp, right? Like if you just get him to say his name, he just disappears.
I mean, I love the idea of that.
Yeah.
I think that's
if you
funny.
look at it in writing, it's right there with Mixoplitalik or whatever you pronounce it.
All right, but Zaslav's name is a lot easier to say.
Zaslav.
Point taken.
What about Aquaman 3? 2?
Who?
Two.
What is that
Yeah.
called again?
The second one was the Johnny Depp trial.
Yikes.
I've heard that the early reviews of it are like it's like worse than unwatchable.
Yeah.
No.
And I wonder if that's because they had to like minimize Amber Heard's
Or
role in it post production.
Well, I've read even before the Johnny Depp stuff that they were going to cut her from Aquaman 2 because she was not well received in the first one.
Mm.
And then post trial, it seems like they diminished her role even more because of the public perception, which has shifted now. I think that's a weird way to edit a movie. You're going to remove her from the equation almost entirely, but we can have a whole movie dedicated to the global terrorist Ezra Miller. Like normally I'm not one to, really get in the muck about stuff like that, but that's a weird one. That's not a good look. A lot of bad decision making. A lot of bad decision making on DC's part. And it might bite them in the ass when James Gunn's Superman came out. When we talked about it last week or whatever week it was, I said Snyder fans matter in the sense that they do have some sway. And you can't alienate that whole crowd and then also alienate the crowd of rational, reasonable people. Better films. Because if this one sucks, allegedly, right? And then the Flash, let's say the Flash is okay, and then Aquaman sucks, what's the momentum going into
There is none.
the new regime?
Yeah, there is none.
for-
They have to do
for-
crazy press to fix that.
Those people though are already gonna have like a bad taste in their mouth without having seen the movie. So like, let's say Shazam was better than what it was. That Flash comes out to be really, really a really good film. Then they're not going to be interested in it anyway because it also hurts them. Like there's no appeasing the Snyder crowd, I don't think. That makes it worth focusing on it. Like for them, you just put the movie out because they're gonna come. They're either gonna decide I'm not gonna watch it because it's inherently bad because Snyder's not attached, or I'm going to complain about it again without watching.
I'm not saying that they need to appease them. I'm saying that you can't alienate that audience and also the other crowd. Like it feels like they're alienating everybody.
Mm.
The Snyder stuff they can't control.
Right.
But I also think that people involved in making movies should not be talking about segments of the audience. It's weird. Why are you bringing them up? I don't understand the logic. Let that shit go. You got a main actor who's going on Instagram Live talking about how a segment of the audience impacted the movie's numbers.
Yo, nothing good ever happens on Instagram Live.
I beg to differ.
All right, I gotta see who
Hey,
Sean's
yo.
following then. It's just wild to me that one of the most well-known movie studios in the history of cinema, Warner Brothers, the reins of one of the most important divisions of that studio is in the hands of the director of Slither. Like that is, it's like what?
Shocking.
Okay.
Yeah. Manny asks, why would a past regime perception be held of a new regime? Because the public doesn't know about a new regime. They know about movies. You know, you show them a DC character in a DC branded movie. They think, okay, well, this is DC. You know, it's not like James Gunn is on Entertainment Tonight and CNN, you know, wherever they put that type of stuff. And he's not on the press tour of these channels informing the general audience about this new direction. I don't even think they need to do that right now. I think if they are going to do that, save that for before Superman comes out.
Agreed. Yeah.
Let these movies do whatever they're going to do.
Yeah.
And that's definitely what will happen.
Right. People lump in like Morbius and movies like that with like Marvel Studios movies all the time. In my personal life, people do that. So
all the Morbin time. Yeah.
And I mean, not only, you know, with what Sean's talking about with like the general audiences, but you also have the people in the know, you know, the Snyder fans who, I mean, are going to review bomb. They're going to, you know, go out and do all the shit they're going to do, but they're also going to tell people.
Right.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Like even the shit we've done posting just advertising that Jeff Johns is going to be on, we get blasted. And imagine for something that has more of scale and reach at that point, like the numbers are endless there.
Yeah. They're a horde.
Yeah.
And they have families. Sorry?
I said those bots are strong.
Yeah. They've got bots too. They've got more than WBD apparently. They have the campaign structure that WBD wishes they had. They've got it all. They
got those Russia level bots.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, not really. I despise it. Classy Lisi says, let's bring back Jeff Johns. I agree. But then again, Jeff Johns was also responsible for Wonder Woman 2. So, you know, not the best. But yeah, I think that they have to focus on wrangling and controlling their creatives. Warner Brothers does. Get these NDAs up. Write these contracts better to where Zachary would never go on Instagram Live and mention
anything. Yeah.
It's a bad look. Talk about, hey, yeah, go see the movie. If you enjoyed it, tell your friends. You know, yes, it is a family movie that families will enjoy. Say all that. Don't come off like a baby.
You don't see Florence Pugh talking about the production of Hawkeye drama, you know, in her life. You just see her cooking, which is some of the best stuff on the internet.
That's not even when she's cooking. You do, though, see Anthony Mackie going around talking about how impossible it is to read the scripts at Marvel.
Yeah, that's a love tap. Yeah, low love tap, and I think Marvel probably doesn't like that. I really can't think of a primary, maybe not even a secondary Marvel actor who has like spoken out against the studio.
Tell all. Ooh,
and he's Captain America now, so he knows he's he's safe.
And even that's a small jab.
Yeah. And that's an understandable jab. I mean, like, that's part of how they keep things locked down. It's like, you don't even get the whole script.
Yeah.
Which I got to imagine is unbearable as an actor, but...
Yeah.
20 years from now, when the MCU, like, starts to ramp down, if it does...
20?
You get
you mean next month?
But you get that tell-all where they just start interviewing, like, doing roundtable interviews on, like, how shit happens.
I don't know, man.
Not happening.
At some point, the contract has to end, dude.
No.
That NDA has to expire.
In 20 years from now, we're going to be taking mouse pills that give us nostalgia hits.
I'm with that. I'm definitely with that. Gardo spoke out about what? I mean, she didn't talk about working the pains of working at Marvel, did she?
Who?
Scarlett Johansson.
No,
When
and
you
she didn't
said
even talk
Scarlett.
out, really. It was more like just behind the scenes stuff that leaked. I don't think she
Yeah.
ever even openly spoke out about it.
Yeah, unless you know differently from me, I don't remember seeing like commentary on her part about Marvel Studios being tough to work for or anything of that nature.
Yeah, I was a little more tapped into it because I wanted that Tower of Terror movie, but Disney adult.
So that's us closing the book on Shazam 2. This era of DC is winding down. I was really hoping that they could sort of start to right the ship. And this did the exact opposite. I think this fallout is almost as bad as the fallout of Black Adam. And it can't be that every time your movie comes out and doesn't do so hot, people just start chirping. It's not a good look. So
Yeah, it's this Fallout feels like Black Adam, the Fallout Part 2.
right. Exactly. There's something small that I really want to touch on.
Heard that before.
Have you?
Yeah, my man just got divorced.
Yeah.
Oh man. Every time that a DC movie comes out, and every time one doesn't do well, David Ayer, the director of the first Suicide Squad movie,
Oh boy.
rises out of the crypt like a ghoul to remind people that there's an Ayer cut that exists and that the fiends at Warner Brothers and DC chopped his movie up and they reanimated it and put it back together and made it, weird Frankenstein's monster of a film. I agree with that.
Catherine says, a Rachel Ghoul?
Oh yeah. Check Tyler's Twitter for more context on that. But this time I actually sympathized with David Ayer, and I was like, man, that's the movie that I wanted. So this is what he said in a quick tweet. The script issue was having Steppenwolf and the Parademons stripped out prior to production. Enchantress was under the control of a mother box and opening a portal to Apocalypse. This was all cut early in prep. That was a hard loss. If you remember, Suicide Squad 1 has Enchantress as the main villain. She goes nuts and she's trying to end the world.
Yeah.
But there's no real reason. It's all this just tied into ancient history and all this weird mumbo jumbo to where the Suicide Squad become the heroes of a story that has no story. It's just, oh yeah, she's doing this for reasons. The Suicide Squad have to stop her because, what are we? Some kind of Suicide Squad?
And that was a line.
Yeah, and that was that. This version of the movie ties it into the wider DCU, giving it a reason to exist. It includes Parademons as a sub-level antagonist for the Suicide Squad to fight. And you get a little tease of Steppenwolf. But the main villain's Enchantress. I think that makes a lot more sense.
I don't.
Oh, okay.
I don't want new gods in my Suicide Squad. You know what I mean?
Well, the idea wasn't for him to be in the movie.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think there was at one point a Parademon who was either a member of the Suicide Squad or a Secret Six member. So I guess there's precedent for it, but that wasn't the issue with the movie. The issue with the movie was that it was a David Ayer movie, or apparently not. Apparently, according to him, I really hated that movie. I have strong opinions on that.
We've seen that.
We should do a necro review of that movie.
I haven't seen that one. I haven't seen the first one.
Necro review.
Yeah, we just revive it.
Maybe we should lead the charge.
On the Suicide Squad? Oh, I would love to write the Suicide Squad.
No. No.
Okay.
I mean for the Ayer cut.
Oh, you mother.
Oh,
We should be the frontline podcast for David Ayer.
Hashtag
He
hands
is
up in
our
the
general,
air.
and we are his privates. Hold on a second.
Oh. I don't know. That sounds like a wrong side to be on, honestly, like a suicide mission or something.
Well, we're not a Suicide Squad.
What are we, some kind of comics pals?
That's what I thought we were. So we've got a lot more show. We're going to be talking about a huge exit from Marvel Studios. We're going to be talking about Free Comic Book Day. I have some thoughts on Free Comic Book Day. I have some thoughts on DC and what they're charging for the new Superman comic. And of course, we're going to be presenting part 4 of our deep dive into Alan Moore's Twilight of the Superheroes. I have a big surprise.
Ooh,
I have a
Alan
big
Moore?
surprise.
he's here.
Dude, what if he apparated behind me?
I can see it happening.
That'd be horrifying.
And then what if he had like a giant like cloak on and he just engulfed me and, and I was gone?
This stream would just look like one of those like pandemic era horror movies that they just had to film through Zoom, you know?
Yeah.
There was one that looked kind of good that I wanted to see.
There was one that looked pretty decent. Yeah.
So we've got a lot of show to do. If you are enjoying it so far, make sure that you hit that like button for us. We really appreciate that. If you're watching live or later on YouTube, follow if you are watching on Twitch. That really helps us out a lot. You can give us your Amazon Prime, your Twitch Prime rather, free sub over on Twitch if you like. You can also give us just your regular sub if you're so inclined. But either way, that helps us out a ton. On YouTube, super chats are open. If you do want to be a super chatter, that's going to be something that we, of course, read on the air. So we appreciate all the support. Plenty of other ways to support the show as well. Patreon.com/thecomicspals is the absolute best way to do that, where for as little as $3 a month, which is less than the price of, Kale.
Oh, you got me again. Damn it. This Apple keyboard.
Oh yeah, definitely. Those things are way too expensive. Yeah.
It's oh yeah, it is less than the price of that. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You get access to our newsletter. You get access to our exclusive show, Palling Around, which is a lot of fun. We just recorded, or what I thought was a really good one this past week, and it's out now. So you can check that out. You get to vote in our book clubs. So we're putting out the Far Sector Book Club. That's coming out the first Tuesday of April, which is April 4th. And you get a superhero or supervillain nickname and a shout out on this very podcast. So I want to say thank you so much to Thunderstruck Rebecca Alejandro, the Night Stalker Harris Nijinsky, Brian Demolisher Del Pozo, Random Rocio, Kefis the Incorruptible, The Great Destroyer Hyper Viper 89, Momentum Mike Elliott, Starcross Catherine Stars, The Hound of Justice Atomic Hound, Dan the Truth Trudeau, and Joel Justice. We have a lot of people consumed with truth and justice.
We need some more villains.
Members of our Patreon. Sorry?
People need to sign up so we can make more villains.
Yeah.
Yeah. In this city of heroes, what would we fight? We need some villains. Maybe a city of villains.
Ooh.
Ooh.
I like that. Sounds like fun. I feel like never mind. Never mind.
Okay.
All right.
Join us live on YouTube and Twitch every single Saturday at 10:15 a.m. for the main show, Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern for Pals Pulls. What did we review this week? Oh, Ra's al Ghul. One Bad Day.
Yep. Doctor Strange.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. Go
Great
check
week
that out.
for big capes and weird mustaches.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you're right. We're going to be interviewing Jeff Johns next week. Get ready. Come on. This upcoming Saturday, we're going to be interviewing Jeff Johns at a special start time. We are going to be starting at 1 p.m. Eastern. So that's April 1st at 1 p.m. Eastern. We had to give Jeff some time to, get his beauty rest, drink a Coke, maybe eat some cereal, drive on over to the Warner Brothers lot, set up, and then come chat with your boys. That should be a lot of fun. If you want to partake in the Jeff Johns Geiger giveaway, we are giving away a copy of the Geiger trade. All you have to do is follow us on Twitch, subscribe on YouTube. Both of those are free. Leave us a comment or a question for Jeff Johns anywhere that you can find us. We will put your name into a randomizer, and we will decide, or the randomizer will decide, live on the air who the winner is. If we can verify you, we will send you a copy of Geiger. That's simple.
Geiger.
Those are the only rules. So join us for that. It's going to be a big day. We're really excited about it. Come hang out when we do interview Jeff Johns. We really are hoping for a groundswell of support. And you guys are the key to that. Help us counteract the Snyder Bros, if you will.
Help us fight.
Good
them.
luck. I'm gonna be
Is
in
this-
those moderation tools like
Go-
crazy that day.
Those would
Yeah.
be the villains. A city of villains, just a city full of Snyder Bros.
Listen, if they subscribe, yeah, they can absolutely be villains. Does that mean that we're choosing a side? Have we chosen a side?
No, because Sean's a Snyder fan.
I'm on the
Interesting.
side of not being a dick online.
Yeah, that's exactly where I am.
Well, those are the battle
Yeah.
lines.
To be
Yeah,
a
so
dick
in
or
that,
to not
in
be a
that
dick.
sense, I've chosen a side. Love Zack Snyder's movies. I'm way into them. I'm bummed out that the Snyder Justice League trilogy is only airing in Cali. It's only in 2 Cali theaters. It's a very special low key event. I was looking forward to being able to go in New York, but that ain't happening. So, but yeah, just don't be a dick online. That's all.
All we ask.
Kale,
Yo,
last week we hit 1,000 subscribers.
oh shit!
And that means that you owe the audience, a backflip. Now, are you prepared to present said backflip as you said you would be last week?
I am not. However,
Oh.
However, what I have done is I have made preparations. I have,
For his untimely death.
for my untimely death,
You got a will.
a receipt here for one adult session at the
Ooh.
Liverpool Trampoline Gym and Gymnastics Academy.
An adult session. What are we doing there?
And- Well, hopefully learning
some
how to
rope-
go backflip.
Some rope stuff?
I'm lucky it'll be some rope stuff.
Okay, so basically what you're saying is you will be prepared to hit this backflip. Well, not next week because that's Jeff Johns' week, but the week after.
My promise to you, Sean, as my boss, as my friend, as my colleague, and to our listeners, Snyder Bros alike, and maybe also Jeff Johns. Gail Simone, don't even worry about it. There will be one American backflip on this
Ooh,
show
American.
within the next 2 weeks.
American backflip. That's right.
I'm looking forward to it.
My favorite wrestler, the American backflip.
No one's forgotten. No one's trying to get out of it. We are trying to do it safely.
Sean
And,
brought that up. I'm like, I didn't get any footage. What the fuck? What am I gonna do?
If it
Started worrying.
doesn't work, in the sense that, the backflip goes awry, I would still like the footage.
Yes.
So let Jess know.
Whatever the results, we want the footage.
Yes,
I mean,
we're owed a backflip. No one
Okay.
said it had to be successful.
Marco, you have
that's-
Jess's
listen,
contact,
that's a
right?
great point.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
great
yeah.
point.
Okay, all right, cool.
I didn't even think about that, to be honest, because I'm not the type of person that will mess it up and not get up and do it again, unless I can't get up and do it again.
I don't want you to be injured.
Yeah.
I don't want that. But I want my footage regardless of the outcome. Now, if a tragedy should befall you, then that will be your last time on the show and people will remember you.
I mean, as long as you got the neck up working, you can still be on the show.
Dude, we can go viral off that. Are you kidding me?
I could Stephen Hawking the rest of the
exactly.
show for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Hello, welcome to the. No, I won't.
Oh my God, no!
I won't do that.
What?
All right, I derailed the show again. Damn it!
That is just.
Damn.
That was good.
Damn.
That is wrong, Tyler. That is so wrong. Don't ever do that again. Do it again.
That's how I dirty talk in bed.
So
also, why I'm single.
Well, hey, not for long. You keep wearing those shirts, I guarantee.
Oh yeah, this will do it. That'll do it. Yeah.
Just messing with you. Hey Marco, what are you drinking out of, buddy?
Oh, I'm drinking out of my Comics Pals mug, which arrived, unfortunately, not intact like Tyler's, but
I was gonna say, yeah, you probably asked the wrong person.
Christ, dude, don't say that. Just say you were trying to make it special.
But should something happen to yours, you are able to go ask for a refund. They will resend you things. So, we have that insurance policy.
You have a mug coming, and you just got a nice planter for a plant.
Oh yes. Oh, that's not a bad idea.
Probably just.
I was gonna still use it as a cup. I'm still using it as a cup, frankly. And then I got my Marco's mug hole magnet, which I was particularly excited about. And I got the sticker set, which hasn't arrived yet, but is forthcoming.
Catherine points out that Marco's mug, it's the special Kale edition. It's slightly broken upon landing.
Yo,
that's good. Do you want to get up here and do the show because some of your jokes are hitting better than ours?
Fucking
definitely better than mine.
On fire today.
I hope you go full Scorpion. Like, I hope you're okay, but like a nice Kale Scorpion video would be hilarious. Like when you're
guys, I'm gonna do a backflip. Like
I have tried.
Happen.
Yeah. Like if I ever said I had to do a backflip, I've never done one in my life. Into a pool on a trampoline, never. So
yeah, no, I haven't either.
Really? Okay.
That's why I'm going to a trampoline academy to learn how to do it.
All right.
To land properly.
That's right.
If something bad were to happen to Kale, I know of one person I can think of in particular who would be devastated by a tragedy befalling Kale.
Blake.
Yeah.
Wife?
Nah, Blake's not a person. Your wife?
Maybe.
I mean, he's not a person. He's a dog,
He's a valued member of the family.
100%.
You will address him as so.
But not a human, not a person. And, your wife, listen, I'm sure, she'd be devastated, but, exactly. But the person that I'm referring to is, and longtime listeners will know who I'm talking about, my aunt's coworker.
No.
My aunt's coworker, who he reaches out to her to tell me to get on the phone.
Yep.
So that he can basically how we were either right or wrong about our opinions of a Marvel movie.
Tremendous.
And
Steven?
I have to sit on, yes, Steven, yes. I have to sit on the phone and listen to this. And the best part about it is that he doesn't listen to anything else. He only listens to the reviews. But this week, my aunt asked me, hey, did you see Shazam? Because Steven was asking if you guys saw Shazam. He was wondering where the review was. And I said, no, we didn't see it. And then she said, oh, yeah. And he said his favorite pal is Kale.
Wow.
Listen, Tyler, didn't you tell us the other day?
Yeah, my friend Kevin,
your friend,
also a big Kale fan.
Are we in a Kale renaissance? Is Kale going to be pal of the year for 2023?
No. I have a silent but dedicated underground following.
Yeah.
It's a cult following. It's not really. They wouldn't back me up ever.
No.
But they do agree with me.
I see.
It's a fandom of jaded moviegoers.
Yeah, I would never rely on them in a fight.
Oh, no.
But I know they're there in spirit.
Unreal. Well,
Sean, what's your aunt's coworker's friend's last name? Is it Wolf? Stephen Wolf, a famous DC character that was supposed to be in Suicide Squad.
Ooh.
I'm stealing one from the chat there.
Yeah, all right.
I think that
Could've
was
left
Ulysses.
it there.
That was the Ulysses.
Yeah, I think
joke,
that's where
wasn't
that
it?
should have
Wasn't
stayed. Well,
Manny.
we're giving
That
the
was
listeners their say now. So why don't we read some listener comments,
it.
Tyler?
Ooh, I love you, Dan, but this is a lot.
I do this. Wait, his is not longer than Matt's.
Oh, I thought that was all one because there wasn't a break there. Okay, hold on. Dan Trudeau said, "I cannot believe companies are doubling down on variant covers again. Were the 90s really that long ago? Are foil covers and polybags around the corner? That speculator bubble cratered the industry, and I don't know if it could take a hit like that again. They know this will end badly, but they're just barreling forward."
We've talked a lot about variant covers. We're gonna do a big topic about them at some point. But yeah, I completely agree. I think variant covers are one of the major problems of the industry. We know it for a fact. It's not conjecture. At Comics Pro this year, that was one of the major talking points. And one of the things that was hailed was actually, I believe, Boom scaling back their variant cover policy. So it is an issue. As far as polybags and foil covers go, I've been seeing those two things since I started reading comics. So
Yeah.
they never went anywhere. They are ramping back up though. DC loves their foil covers. Marvel not as much. But
Aren't we
DC loves
getting
it.
specifically those holographic gold metallic ones for DC? It was like a 90s in like a month
I'm not
already
sure.
happened?
Did that? I think that might have happened.
Okay,
but
but it was very recent. Yeah,
Yes.
or like Joe Quinones was doing art on them.
Yeah.
The
That already
90s
happened.
revival covers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's an issue.
And like the comic shops can't really do anything about it because they need those to justify but then they need to buy a lot of issues so it's I would love to talk to a comic shop guy specifically about that. Just
Cool.
Well, I might have some news for you. Stay tuned.
oh, okay. All right, we need to put
Ooh.
that in the notes. Okay. Matt Murphy. Probably saying something heated in the Discord again. Saying Dragon Ball was never political just means the person wasn't paying much attention. Just look at the Red Ribbon Army. Not all political commentary needs to be heavy-handed. It's wild because One Piece, at times, is more blunt about politics than Captain America. It's unfortunate people choose what fits their narrative instead of enjoying the narrative directly in front of them that they hopefully paid for.
I
should-
also thought this was one comment.
Yeah, I got worried.
And so I thought Dan was going off about Dragon Ball. I was like, wow, okay, I didn't know he had that strong an opinion about Dragon Ball.
Dan, a very eclectic reader there.
I should say these are all comments that are based on last week's main topic, which was the manga versus comics quote unquote debate. We really, there's no debate, but we got to name things for purposes outside of, the show. Yeah, I agree. I agree with everything that Matt said. I think that, but we have a problem in this world as it relates to, I think, maybe not media literacy so much as people not even understanding what they're consuming. Like, you have people that are hardcore Star Wars fans, right? They love Star Wars to death.
Yeah.
And somehow they don't realize that their politics, that their feelings about the world, their feelings about, other groups other than themselves, all are Empire. Like they're the Empire, but they think they're Luke. We have a whole world of people who think they're Luke, but they're really Darth Vader. People who think they're Superman, but they're not Lex Luthor. But I can't think of they're not Superman, they're the Shocker. Like
They're parasites.
They're not who they think they are. And they're not even reading or watching what they think they're reading or watching. You got people that have the S on their chest that voted for Donald Trump. You think Superman would have been down for that? I understand people are complex beings, but it just doesn't add up to me.
I heard 50 Cent as soon as he said S on my chest in my head, and I was like, all right, I'm going right back to that album.
A man after my heart.
But the other thing too, like with like Star Wars too, it's like, oh, those the Empire's costumes are literally designed after SS uniforms. Like, it's been discussed.
Yeah.
Fucking
Yeah,
crazy.
it's not just media literacy, it's literacy.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally just
Literacy.
thinking about the content you consume.
On a strictly like just going one degree below text, like like reading subtext should be like a freaking class that's needed. And actually, media literacy should be a class, but
Yep. Yeah.
especially when it comes to like deep fakes and AI and stuff now too. So whatever.
Mm.
Roboters number one, Roboters 100 commented and said, agreed all around when it comes to certain characters that they just are ongoing and have many ways to tell the stories. An end to a run or an overarching issue. An end to a run or an overarching arc. Sure, but it still goes on. Comics have always been the illusion of change and growth. That's okay. We need to edit that one.
I did.
Okay.
And I also like to leave things a little messy because
That
I like to
was
hear you
that
do
was.
that. Very fun for me personally.
You just get satisfaction out of me reading stuff that just, as I'm reading it, makes no sense to me.
It's so
Because you know I don't check these before we go live.
Mhm.
Thanks, Sean. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I do the same to you.
I thought about this question, or this comment rather, and I realized that as we were talking last week, how many issues of Dragon Ball are there? How is it that people make the argument, oh, Western comics don't end, manga ends, Dragon Ball's still going? That shit's old as hell. That's just older than everybody here.
A lot of them. A lot of series are.
Yeah, One Piece is still going or whatever,
It's
and
ending
that's
soon,
old as
but
well.
yeah.
How? Where? What are these people thinking? That's so crazy.
I always like how people are like, oh, comics are just it's too hard to get into. And then they recommend One Piece. And I'm like, how many issues did you say that was?
Yeah.
And I have to start from the beginning? Oh, I'm out.
It's a clear track. I'll give you that. That's fine. But how, like, does One Piece have, because Spider-Man, you need to know the essential details, which, happened in his early life and then Gwen Stacy. And then you can jump in almost anywhere. A new arc, like a new creative team. Can you do that with One Piece?
Yeah, it'll, like, in the same way that maybe you won't have like the context for certain events or certain characters out the gate, but yeah, you could just Manny in chat, maybe not the time skip, but like it has arcs, and then it has sagas, and then within the sagas there are different arcs, and so you can jump in at a saga start or at an arc start, and from there you're just following whatever's happening.
Is that delineated, though, by the book itself?
How do you mean?
Like, does the book say, oh, new jumping on point, or new aga, new saga, new arc?
It doesn't advertise it as such,
But
but
it will have like a catch-up page.
right, yeah,
The same way, a Spider-Man book will.
But yeah, but I agree. Like, there's no difference then. Like, so One Piece specifically over 1,000 chapters. So a chapter is essentially an issue.
Yeah, that's
that's in how much time compared to what Action Comics was able to do for 1,000? Like,
right. And also, let's not kid ourselves. You can't just start Dragon Ball Super and know the essential details of the characters. I'm pretty sure you can't do that with One Piece either. People talk about how much stroke these stories have, these manga have, but does the average person know? I don't know what One Piece is about. I think they're pirates.
ooh, yeah.
But I don't know the essential.
It's like you do.
But I don't know the essential elements of those characters. I don't do what they do. I don't know what makes them tick. You won't know those. You're not going to know that Android 18 is an android. And, like, there's so many things that are pivotal to know for Dragon Ball that I don't know how you could just start with Dragon Ball Super.
Oh, interesting.
But everybody knows the essential elements of Superman.
But you don't have to know like essential elements necessarily, as much as it's about the character interplay. And once you get to see that, you get to see dynamics between individuals, and that's the appealing part. Is, oh, I know how Luffy will interact with Zoro versus Nami versus Usopp, and like that's the fun part, is them hanging out and being put into an environment, because the environment will change, but these characters will stay true, and you can see that as it develops over the course of, like, let's say 5 issues. If you buy like a trade or a tankobon, then you'll see that, and that's the appeal.
So essentially, you're saying just jump in and you'll figure it out.
Jump in, and you'll figure it out, specific to the characters.
Exactly what
but
I
if
say
you-
about American comics, though. Like,
That's the literal argument that I'm making. I'm
Yeah.
saying that there's no difference between manga and comics.
Yep.
Except for the fact that in Western comics there are characters who you can actually just jump in and you'll know things already. You don't need to have read a comic book to know why Batman is Batman. You just know.
I wasn't here for the discussion last week, but I think that the two biggest things for me would be manga has a more clear path as opposed to Spider-Man, because like Spider-Man's like, even in the way they market it, it's not really sure what volume is what, what's that. And also manga really has like a singular architect usually. So which you don't really get with, a big two book. So.
To plan Three Kingdoms says even all 1052 issues of Action Comics, you're missing a lot. Okay. Yeah. But so what? If you read every single issue of Dragon Ball, right, you're missing a lot. Why? Because you didn't read Dragon Ball Z. If you read every issue of Dragon Ball Z, but you didn't read Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Super, you're missing a lot. Action Comics is Action Comics, the same way Dragon Ball is Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball Z is a continuation, but it's a different thing. I don't see a difference. But I think the argument is more about people's bias against Western comics than it's about logic. So,
and the other way around, people's bias against manga, and versus logic.
But who's attacking manga? No one's attacking it. It's
no one
only,
here for sure.
Yeah.
Well, but like nothing has caused the constant like obsession that people seem to have with the death of Western comics on the part of Western comics fans saying, "Oh yeah, manga's ass, and who could read that shit, and how could you follow it, and it's all boobs and guns and muscles, and like, where's that argument? Who's making that argument?"
I do see that argument.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen it even in our TikTok replies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very common argument.
I just think that it's clear that one is doing worse than the other in history. So I think they're starting at,
I think
like we're in a manga boom right now. So of course that's just going to seem better.
I also think a lot of it is, I think the Western comics angle of it is so focused around the business of it.
Yeah.
That it, people are making that part of it look worse.
I'd love to know the inverse. What, like, I don't know, like a Japanese person's view on Western comics would be. If it even is a thing. I don't know how strong the Western comics market is in Japan. I can't imagine it's equal. It's not like with the manga, stuff is here. But
yeah, manga is definitely cheaper, and that is 100% a factor.
One of the big pieces.
Do they have like Ameribus in Japan? Like,
surely that has
people
to
that are just really into American culture.
that
Oh,
has
Bandit
to
Keith,
exist.
he's one of them.
Word he is.
Yeah.
Big Two needs to provide more fan service. What do you mean by that?
Spider-Man,
You mean like a Frank
with
Cho
their
cover?
dick.
I feel like the Big Two has fan service. If you mean, hot chicks or whatever. Let's move on. We've got some news to tackle. Marvel Studios saw a major firing, what appears to be a firing, of Victoria Alonso. Major executive. I would say one of the 3 most important executives that I can think of at Marvel Studios proper, alongside Kevin Feige and Louis D'Esposito. This story actually started as her exiting the company.
Mm.
And that's how it was first reported on March 20th. But
That's what I
then things shifted. Because then the rumor was, oh, she might have been fired. Then it was, not only was she probably fired, but it looks like Kevin Feige didn't stop it. And that it was done by a consortium of executives at Disney. You know, they got the lawyers involved, they got HR involved, they got everyone they needed involved to make the decision to fire her. And that Kevin Feige, who loves her, probably enjoys working with her, as he has since I think before Marvel Studios became an official thing. I think she's been there since 2006. He didn't stand in the way. He didn't stop it. But then the Hollywood Reporter dropped a bomb, because Victoria Alonso. Oh, hold on. Actually, before I say that, I want to say what Victoria Alonso's job was, because that's really important. She was responsible for a lot of the post-production elements, a lot of the visual effects elements, and making sure that all those things were aligned across all the movies, and that from a visual standpoint, from a post-production standpoint, things were aligned with what Marvel's agenda was. Over the last, I don't know, year or so, people have been banging the drum about Marvel overworking and mistreating effects studios, and how they have basically a run on the market. And she's in charge of that. That is her primary responsibility. There were a lot of people floating that she was fired for that reason. Now, I will tell you the reason she was fired. This comes from the Hollywood Reporter. Allegedly. She was fired because she was working on producing another movie for another studio, for a competing studio. Victoria Alonso produced a movie called Argentina 1985. It's a movie that was put out by Amazon. It's a movie that competed for an international feature Oscar. And it's a movie that deals with the history of Argentina, and 30,000 people who were, I think, they were disappeared by the military in the country at that time. And it was an important story for her to tell. According to the Hollywood Reporter article, there is an agreement that was created at Disney in 2018. It states that employees cannot work for competing studios. That seems like a no-brainer.
Okay.
That was put into place in 2018. Allegedly, according to sources, she did not ask permission to work on this movie. And going even further, she was warned several times not to continue working on the movie. At the Oscars, she walked the red carpet with the director of Argentina 1985.
Oh.
She was there as a representative, not of Black Panther 2, but of Argentina 1985. They found this to be disrespectful. They found it to be a breach of her contract, and they fired her.
Damn. All right.
I mean, I looked into her. She is from Argentina, and she would have been around there in 1985. So, like, apparently this means a lot to her. So, like, I can appreciate that, you know, her kind of sticking to her guns on this one. But, like, if you break any kind of contract with Disney, that's a dumb move.
Gonna get you.
Yeah, especially for, like, an international film that only going to make so much, you know. But I guess this is where you just don't think with your wallet. You just think with your, you know, your gut on this one. But
if this is true, because there's a statement that came from her lawyers that argues the point. Of course, they would argue it. If it's true, I think that, I mean, look, that's a fireable offense. I think it's dumb to do. I think supporting the movie as much as behind the scenes makes a lot of sense. But why would you publicly do a press tour about a movie from a competing studio? Why would you publicly be on record as a producer of a movie from a competing studio? Why would you go to the Oscars and support a movie from a competing studio when a movie from the company you work for is at the Oscars? She didn't care, if this is true.
Yeah.
But again, her attorney, Patty Glazer, says this is bunk.
Yeah.
Quote,
Yeah.
the idea that Victoria was fired, full of press interviews relating to a personal passion project about human rights and a democracy that was nominated for an Oscar, which she got Disney's blessing to work on, is absolutely ridiculous. Victoria, a gay Latina who had the courage to criticize Disney, was silenced. Then she was terminated when she refused to do something she believed was reprehensible. Disney and Marvel made a really poor decision that will have serious consequences. There is a lot more to this story, and Victoria will be telling it shortly, in one forum or another.
what was the reprehensible thing?
Don't know. They haven't said that yet.
Is this maybe the fact that, you know, like she was the head of VFX that was allegedly bullying and cornering the market on VFX, you know, people?
I've seen
causing, I was gonna say, like, causing horrible working conditions and all that.
I've seen mixed reports. I've seen reports that say she was a person who people avoided trying to deal with because she was overworking people. I've also read reports that she wasn't so close to it that she was even dealing with individuals on that level, and she wasn't forcing overworking. She was trying to get these projects completed, but that she wasn't a tyrant, if you will.
The Variety version of this article, right after the quote you read, Sean, it says a source close to the matter also says that following Alonso's remarks at the 2022 GLAAD Awards, she called out then CEO Bob Chapek by name for his reaction to the Florida's Don't Say Gay bill, and she was told that she can no longer do press for Marvel projects.
Oh.
I see,
Yeah.
but I also read the opposite. I read that she was celebrated because when she called out Bob Chapek, she was asking him not to support the bill, which he went on to do. Marvel or Disney rather went on to oppose the bill, and that caused Disney a lot of problems. They lost their special tax status in Florida, which is obviously a huge issue. But what I read was that she was actually praised for saying those things by the studio. So all of this is now, all the narrative is being manipulated by different players. Yeah. We're not going to know the truth ultimately, maybe ever. It's hard to believe that a person of Victoria Alonso's stature got fired for speaking out on that subject that you're referring to, Kale, when Chapek's not even there.
Yeah. They got rid of him essentially because of his poor management skills and getting involved in this stuff.
And if they told her not to speak out anymore at that point, let's say that was the case, what changed to where she needed to be fired now?
and even back then, a lot of the studio's social media accounts were actively against the bill. They were
Yeah.
actively posting about it.
That was the
Disney
company
proper
line.
wouldn't, but Marvel Studios was, Pixar was. It was like the studios specifically were, but Disney as a company wasn't, if that makes sense, which also seems very tactical, you know?
Yeah.
To have our cake and eat it too, because Disney can say, "Oh, you know, we're staying out of the politics," but their studios aren't.
Mhm.
I even think like Disney Parks was like openly against it as well.
I'm not buying the she was fired for that comment from last year. And I don't know that I'm necessarily buying this story. I don't know.
I just love how wildly different this is compared to the DC stuff in Warner Brothers. It's like, oh, we got all the information, you know, on the DC side of things. Everyone's just, you know, loose lips sinking ships over there.
Yeah.
Here, we can't get any kind of clear cut picture of what's going on.
Well, that's how they keep their
Yeah.
image so tight.
Yep.
You know,
Can't let it slip. Can't let people know.
I am hello couchin and slouchin. Good morning. Welcome. Thank you for joining.
That's a great name.
Yeah, I love that name. I had to call it out.
Sea Bizzle.
I have to admit something though. I'm happy about this. I don't think that Victoria Alonso was going to allow, as much as she possibly could, X-Men to be called the X-Men. She said several times she does not like that name. She does not believe in that name. It's alienating to women and other kinds of people. And that the best X-Men are the women, so why would it be called the X-Men? Several times.
She's right on that part.
Yeah, the last part's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's called the X-Men because they're Xavier's men. They're Xavier's team. It's the name. Who cares? That's the name. That's on the marquee. That's what's going to sell tickets. That's what's going to put the movie over $1 billion. You call it the X-Men. You don't call it the mutants. That's ridiculous.
Call the muties. Let's make it a derogatory mutant term instead.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're gonna start, you know, a film where they have to grow into the X-Men, I think muties is the way to go.
I just don't like, but like, as her role as head of VFX, she has no control over that. I would think, like
Gotta
that
put the
doesn't
graphic together.
like.
She's one of the 3 most important executives at Marvel. She has to have say.
Yeah, Marco
Yeah.
mentions that, and I'm like, well, I put the graphics together and I control the title of the show. So
Yeah, she's not gonna put the men in that PowerPoint presentation.
Gonna
She's
be
not gonna do it.
X-MYN. That's what it's gonna be.
X people.
But that aside, and I despise those comments, she's in charge of the part of Marvel that a lot of people might argue has been working the least well, which is what we literally see, the visual aspect.
Yeah, especially here lately.
With Bob Iger's decree that they're going to slow down on production of some of these shows and things like that, and also bring back these budgets, she might not be the right person to lead Marvel's new agenda going forward.
What if she was like the one standout trying to make sure that, you know, VFX companies weren't overworked, and like now they just get someone who's just like, yeah, just crank it out. And now we get someone worse.
I think Marvel has to address the problem.
Yeah.
They cannot continue to have this narrative about them. It's the first narrative about Marvel that I think really makes them look bad.
And I think with the rumors lately of them slowing down production of TV shows, maybe that helps. I don't know.
What do you mean?
There's been rumors lately that like a lot of planned shows are not making this isn't on the list of stuff we're talking about right now. Making their 2023 release dates. I think like Ironheart and like Agatha is up in the air right now. So our predictions for best TV show this year are going to be wonky.
Yeah.
Well, that's a Bob Iger decree, though. That's not
Sure.
not a VFX problem. He feels that they need to scale this stuff back and spread it out. He's right.
I'm just thinking, like, as a result, longer time to work on VFX might make it look better, you know? So.
100%. 100%. Manny says, I can't imagine she's the sole reason for Marvel visual effects not being good, as the whole market is really being on a worker shortage. She's been doing it way too long to be a problem now. I mean, it's a combination of the fact that they've been making way too much stuff.
Yeah.
Way too much stuff. But if you go back and you look at Black Panther Part 1 before Disney Plus, what was the major complaint? The visuals weren't good.
Yeah.
That was the primary complaint about that movie. So it's not like it's a new problem. I'm not saying it's her fault. I'm sure there are a lot of people whose fault it is. But when I see executive of visual effects, the buck stops with you. Everybody shit on Bob Chapek for the state of Disney. I'm sure a lot of other people responsible for that, but he's the CEO. You fall on the sword first. That's how it goes.
You think with this we're going to scale down in terms of VFX then?
No, I think they're going to scale down on production.
Yeah. Which in turn then scales down on the amount of VFX needed to be done at a single time.
Yeah. I mean, they had to shift people off Ant-Man Quantumania to put them on Black Panther 2 at the tail end. So if you watch Ant-Man and the Wasp and you think, wow, this looks crappy, remember that.
I did.
Yeah.
It's wild.
I didn't feel that. I thought it was pretty good.
But that was the narrative.
Oh, I see. Okay.
That's what people have, like, yeah, it's all over the place that Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania looks crappy.
They're crappy.
Listen, I'll take that if it means I never have to watch another Marvel film again.
Oh, man, as long as you're on this podcast.
Man, I
You
think you
will
just
be
lost your
subjected to
favorite
it.
pal. For
4 more years. 4 more years.
So, yeah, things not so sweet in Marvel land, but we'll see how this shakes out. I don't think we'll ever know the truth about this, though.
Yeah.
Let's talk some comic quick. But we're not moving away from the negative, unfortunately. Well, I guess it's a matter of perspective. So, DC this week announced a book called We Are Legends for the Dawn of DC. It's introducing several new characters, including City Boy, Spirit World, The Vigil. I believe Ram V is
on Vigil.
Yeah,
Yep.
is a part of this.
Yep.
We are getting those books are spinning off into their own titles. City Boy will be written by Greg Pak with art by Minkyu Jung. Spirit World is Alyssa Wong with art by Haining. I'm not sure who that is. And then The Vigil, #1, is written by Ram V with art by Lalit Kumar Sharma and cover art by Sumit Kumar. So that's all cool. No qualms with that whatsoever. The We Are Legends book itself is free.
Oh.
It's free.
Whoa.
Well, free for us,
Yeah.
not the comic shops. But yeah.
No. It's free. Well, yeah, it's free for purchasers. It's free for store goers.
I learned, and maybe that's just me being dumb, but on Twitter I learned that like shops have to buy these books. They're not just given to them.
Oh, you just learned that?
I just did. Yeah, I'm dumb.
Yeah, that's been a long going problem.
Wouldn't it make a lot of sense? Wouldn't you assume that this book is coming out on Free Comic Book Day to bolster that day?
I would have assumed
Oh,
that, yes.
I know what you're gonna get at. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
It's
I
not.
think we mentioned this when I was looking at solicits. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This book is coming out. It's coming out. I'm sorry, I thought I had the date. It's coming out after Free Comic Book Day.
The choice.
It doesn't add up. It's actually coming out 4 days before Free Comic Book Day.
Well, this special edition,
Yes.
and then the subsequent titles are a few weeks after.
Yeah, but those aren't free.
Okay.
The We Are Legends thing is free. Now, maybe I'm being crazy, right? Maybe I'm off my rocker. But 10 days after Free Comic Book Day, DC's publishing the Dawn of DC Primer also for free.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, really cool. April 26th.
A week before Free Comic Book Day.
Marvel is putting out a Best of Marvel compilation backlist.
Oh, I don't like this one bit.
Okay.
You smelling what I'm cooking?
Yeah.
I'm not, because this seems
watching Marco
neat.
struggle with the timeline here.
This seems neat. Like before, or after, on the day, like it's separating from the day. Like you don't want the noise from Free Comic Book Day to also promote a free comic.
He's so close. He's almost there.
Keep going.
Okay.
What does this do to Free Comic Book Day then?
When you don't have the big two at Free Comic Book Day.
Oh, do you not have Free Comic Book Day?
Oh no, they're still putting out free comic books. Yeah.
Oh.
Yes. But where I'm going is where Kale's going. Because, Marco, you're right. Theoretically, that a free comic book being available before Free Comic Book Day theoretically would bolster Free Comic Book Day. But if you're trying to get people into the stores before Free Comic Book Day, right? Then here's what happens in my mind. A, they're free. So everybody who normally goes to the comic shop is getting them first.
Yeah.
But B, if you do entice someone who doesn't typically go to comic shops 4 days or a week and a half before Free Comic Book Day to go to the shop to get a free comic, are they coming back on Free Comic Book Day? And so a year from now, 2 years, 3 years, are Marvel and DC still participating at all? We've seen it before.
Wait.
What happened to E3?
You start making your own days.
Huh?
You start making your own days and your own events that are separate from this. Yeah.
Yeah. Comic-Con.
Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo all skirted away from E3 for exactly the reason that Marco pointed out. Why would you want the noise of the event to cloud out what you're trying to do? That's what Marco's saying. I think that's what Marvel and DC are thinking, because we're seeing it happen across the board. As Kale pointed out, we've seen that happen at Comic-Cons.
I think the ones that are releasing before Free Comic Book Day, I think a comic book shop can just not give them out until Free Comic Book Day. But that one specifically releasing after Free Comic Book Day, it's like, okay, they're trying to get their own day. For sure. That was the DC one, right? The Dawn of DC?
Yeah.
No, the Dawn of DC one. Okay. Yeah, that's after. I think your point's fair. Like, if I've gone once to go pick this up, but then let's say that wasn't the book, right? Like, I don't assume they're going to the store that week just for this book, right? Like, Free Comic Book Day would happen on the weekend. Are we making the same argument about people who would have gone to the shop regularly? Like, this one title does not invalidate a purchaser's behavior.
Yet.
So it's 3 titles that I'm referring to. Because even if I'm a Wednesday warrior, which I am, if I go to the shop on Wednesday and the free comic book is already there, I'm snatching that up. It's less incentive for me to go back on Saturday or when Free Comic Book Day.
But wouldn't you just get more free comics?
It's less incentive. If I care about Dawn of DC, right? If that's what I'm really into, well, that one's coming out after, so I won't use that as an example. That's fine. If I care about We Are Legends, and I'm really, really into that, and I'm hyped for it, or the Marvel one, the checklist, I'm getting that on that day. And now I might not be as into the other free comics that will be available on Free Comic Book Day. Notice that these were announced separate from Free Comic Book Day.
Yeah.
that tells me that in DC and Marvel's minds, this is not a part of that.
But then you have to make the assumption that you wouldn't have been into whatever the books were on the weekend, on Free Comic Book Day. If you're not willing to go for those, then you weren't interested in them in the first place, regardless of this title.
I would guarantee a lot of the Wednesday Warrior crowds only go to Free Comic Book Day to get those big 2 books.
Yeah.
But there's
I
still
do.
but those big 2 books are still there, right? Like these aren't the
For
only
now.
ones.
But the reason I brought this up is not about this year's Free Comic Book Day. These are examples of what I'm saying could be leading to Marvel and DC exiting Free Comic Book Day.
That feels like a stretch.
I don't
I
think
don't
so.
think
Marvel and DC don't need Free Comic Book Day.
No.
Free Comic
Sure.
Book Day isn't for the companies. Free Comic Book Day is for comic book shops.
100%.
This is what Marco
And-
said about people
and-
using AI to write articles. Then like a week later,
I
That was a
never
stretch.
I never denied. I just said it's not going to replace a person.
And it already has. BuzzFeed killed more than half of their workforce to let Chat GPT write their articles.
The other thing too is like the We Are Legends is not coming out on Free Comic Book Day, and also being a book that probably is the first appearance for a lot of new characters.
Yeah.
Screams like speculator thing, you know.
Yep.
But that makes sense for a Wednesday release in that case, because then you want to grab that. Crowd
No,
who would come
it
in.
doesn't, because the speculators aren't fans.
But
Yeah.
but at that point, right? Then you segment the fan for Free Comic Book Day on Saturday.
So you're saying
the
take
speculator.
away
If
take
the
away a whole fan base from Free Comic Book Day. You're agreeing with us. You're saying, all right,
And-
I want to take away from Free Comic Book Day. I want to drive people to my day specifically, and if I can do that for years going forward, then I have DC's Free Comic Book Day. Now I
But
can just give up on that and have my own day.
But if they were dropping those free books on the Wednesday, like multiple, I would agree with this statement. But just one title, I don't think one title is a differentiator. What was the main?
know what it
Again,
typically
it's not
says-
one title though; it's 3.
It's 2 DCs and a Marvel. The one
Great
DC's
movie, by
coming
the way.
out after Free Comic Book Day. One's coming out slightly before, and then the Marvel's coming out before.
I don't know. That feels to me like you're just keeping people engaged beyond the scope of Free Comic Book Day. But you're the primary place you're putting your comics are still on Free Comic Book Day. Like 3 books out of a total of what?
I mean, Marvel probably has 2 offerings for Free Comic
Uncanny
Book
Avengers,
Day?
I know for sure.
Yeah. And then DC has probably about 2. I think that's generally where they shake out.
Yeah. Usually like an all ages one and then a main one.
So let's say I'm wrong about let's say I'm right about that number. Let's say 2 is the number of DC books that they're putting out on Free Comic Book Day.
Sure.
They have now equaled the amount of books they're putting out on the day off the day. One of
So
them
next-
coming after.
So next year, they put one less on the day.
And Atomic Hound is right. Isn't DC already trying this with Batman Day, Wonder Woman Day, etc.? These characters have days. So what if DC said, on Batman Day, we're going to put out a free Batman comic?
Which they've
I-
done. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're usually reprints, but yeah.
Right. And then Wonder Woman Day, we're going to put out a free comic for that. And then they're like, hey, we can put out free comics whenever we feel like it.
And like Midtown Comics, their Batman Day is an event. You know, they have it's like Free Comic Book Day. They have like cosplay of contests and stuff. And it's a day specifically for DC that they can celebrate DC. You know,
I'm a little concerned about this. I am.
And DC's already, like we saw this during the pandemic, DC's already sort of made very anti-comic shop moves.
Yeah.
By partnering with The One, in Midtown to create a fucking a distributor in a pandemic, like they don't care about shops.
Shops are forced to buy their books because that's what their audience wants, and these companies can do whatever they want.
and
Manny
Free-
says, shouldn't more titles on different days be a reason to have more customers come in on different days to see different products?
Sure.
I think that in theory that works.
Yeah.
But what business can you think of that encourages people to go to the store multiple times across like a couple of weeks to get all these free comics? You can't go the week after Free Comic Book Day to get the Dawn of DC or whichever one is coming out after.
Yeah.
You can't go to the comic shop to get that book and expect that you're also going to be able to get the free comics that you missed. How many people do you know that go to the comic shop more than once a week?
And
Some people don't even go once a month.
How many shops have the resources to be able to put on big events like that constantly? You know,
That's the thing. Yeah.
Free Comic
You
Book Day
can,
for a lot
you
of
know,
shops is a big deal.
You can't separate these because the shops can't buy more.
Right. They're gonna put out all their Free Comic Book Day offerings on the day, and then that's that. So I don't feel like it encourages people to go multiple times, and I don't think that that's consistent with the. If we were talking about another business that was digital, then yeah, sure. Oh, we're putting out a free game on E3. PlayStation's putting out a free game, and then you're like, oh my God, and then you go download it and check it out. I got to get in my car. In my case, I got to get on the train to go to the comic shop multiple times. I'm not doing that. And I don't think most people do that. So I feel like DC's a little bit anti comic book store. And I'm worried about the future. We'll talk about Free Comic Book Day again as we get closer to the day. I just thought this was an interesting thing to pick on.
We'll be live on Free Comic Book.
Oh, yeah.
Live from the store.
We usually are.
I haven't been to Free Comic Book Day in the longest. I can't go because of the show.
We might be able to now. Just get there a little late and you won't be able to get anything you want, but
Well, typically after the show, I don't have anything left in me, so I just fall asleep.
Veg out.
Yeah. Well, pretty much. I watch Catfish and then fall asleep. Keeping it real DC dumb. Let's talk about Superman, new Superman, and its price. So the first issue of Superman #1 from last month was $5. 30 pages. That's pretty good. I mean, it's not the greatest, but okay, fine. It's a new #1. I get that. Why was Superman 2 $5? For 22 pages.
Bro, everything's like crazy now. I bought a Big Mac meal the other day and it was like $12. I was like, pardon? Come again?
But that's cheaper per page.
Then what?
For who?
Than the $6 one. For 30 pages, you spent more per page. You spent $5 versus $4.40.
Wait, what's $6 one? I'm saying $5.
Well, the $5.99 one, right?
No, there is no $5.99. That's a cardstock cover. That's a different cover.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, $5 was the price of Superman 1 at 30 pages, and $5 is the price of Superman 2 at 22 pages.
Oh, I see. Okay, gotcha. Damn.
Marco's just making shit up now to fight about.
No, I thought that's what the difference was. I was like, oh, the 31 was at the $5.99. Oh, okay. Wait, that comes out pretty good.
What is going on? What is happening? $5 for a standard 22-page comic book now?
They're pricing us
out.
out. Yeah, they're pricing us out.
Which is crazy because then what do you expect in terms of people to buy? People's purchasing power at that point has to shrink. You have to shrink your production of the number of comics because you don't need to cater to as many people, and then that just keeps diminishing.
It's late stage capitalism. All they care about is the next earnings call.
Ugh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And we talked about it. That's what Dan Didio said. Dan Didio talked about continuing to raise the prices, alienating people, making more money or making a similar amount of money per comic because they're charging more, but eventually you're just charging, $10, $20 a comic, and the same only 1,000 people are buying it because you've priced everybody else out, which is the direction they seem to be going in.
Yeah. As long as they can say our sales in terms of the money we made is larger than we did last year,
Right.
it doesn't matter who gets priced out.
Yep.
Right. Exactly.
The amount of people buying it does not matter as long as the actual monetary value that they make is more.
But
It's artificial.
And it just has to keep going up too. That's all that matters.
but they
It
have
doesn't
to be
matter if you
losing
and I
money
can
at this
afford it
point,
anymore.
right?
What's that?
Like they have to be losing money at this point because it must cost this like the same amount or more to now produce comics as well because the price of production is also increasing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sure.
they must also be losing money on that front, even if they raise it only by $1.
Well, DC has a complicated problem that no other comic book company has, which is that they have to justify their existence to Warner. So whatever, like I feel like we talked about this during the pandemic, where DC Comics were making solid money for a while. They were doing just fine, but because they were in that Burbank office space, it wasn't enough to do fine. They now had to do as much as they could do. And they're still there. I'm sure that's still a problem. So we've seen them cut the pay of top tier talent, which led to the exodus that we've seen over the last few years. We've seen them fire several senior editors and senior, behind the scenes production people that have led to problems.
Berganza's gone though, right?
Berganza's gone. Yeah.
Okay, that's
Berganza
That was
gone
fine.
in 2020.
I'm okay with that one.
Yeah. But they fired a lot of the people who knew how to make comics good.
Shelley Bond, right? One of them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So all this firing, all this what appears to be, trying to conserve money, and then now we're seeing a price increase. I don't think comics can sustain another price increase. I really don't.
Not at the same page count. At that same page count, there's no way.
They're not increasing
But
page count. There's no way.
Yeah, you start increasing the page count, they're going to charge more.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm saying is like when you have other books that are like, oh, they are actually maybe 30 pages or something, and then you charge more. Well, as long as the page rate doesn't increase in that case, I guess.
They're going to just keep doing it until they cannot make more money.
But what is that threshold? $7 for 22 pages?
It might be.
I mean, for them, they'll go as far as they can.
It's not about how it feels to us.
Yeah, they don't give
At
a
all.
shit.
Yeah.
They don't give a flying fuck.
But they don't care, right? But obviously we can see the writing on the wall. So at what point, maybe this is a question for chat too, like what is your price where I'm not picking up a book regardless?
I'm pretty much there already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
$5 is insane. Holding the line at $2.99
Man.
was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yikes, bro.
And comic books are probably like dollar per dollar the least affordable form of entertainment on earth.
Mm-hmm.
It is nice though that wages are also increasing with these cost increases. Wait a minute.
They fucking on the news the other morning. I woke up to the news having a panic about how Dan's here. Wow, finally. Chat's been real quiet.
That's what the news was talking about.
So the news fucking everybody was panicking because they got the inflation numbers and they thought it was going to go down, but everything went up in February. And I looked at Jess and I said, "This is a surprise to who?
Yeah.
Y'all driving us out of house and home
It's
for
insane.
a pair."
It's insane. I'm probably going to stop buying this comic now.
Yeah.
I don't want to pay $5 an issue for a standard comic. That's too much.
And at
It's
what
too
point
much.
does it become, oh, people aren't buying the comic anymore? But you know what's $5 a month?
Right?
Our app. Now that we like, oh well, we don't need the shops anymore
Oh,
because people
yeah.
aren't buying it anymore. Let's just push, weekly releases on our app because they could just flip that switch whenever.
I think DC probably as much as they probably would love that, I don't think they can afford to get rid of comic book shops or to
For now, no, yeah.
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 I think this is a move that is, again, like, I can't reference it enough. If you have not read the Dan Didio interview, I feel like I understand. I feel like I took a course on comics when I read that. He called it. He already called it. This is what he said would happen. And earlier, Tyler, you said you were curious about hearing from a store owner.
Yeah.
Right? Well, I got some words for you. I got words from Ryan Higgins. Ryan Higgins owns the shop Comics Conspiracy in California. It is a very successful comic book shop. I think they might have some spinoffs as well. But he's been in the business for many years. I have referred to his comments before, especially during the pandemic. And I said this. There's going to be a comic price increase at some point. We are way, way overdue for one. It's going to happen. I don't expect much will change, but the narratives around comics will continue, and there needs to be a deliberate focus on countering negativity. A couple big wins would do wonders for the industry. We had some info before with sales estimates, but now we have nothing. No one has any idea what's going on. Maybe every company is doing amazing. Who knows? He said, I'm not concerned about the big two at the end of the day. I'm much more concerned about the indie market, but the questions apply to all companies. Now, to be fair, I am extrapolating his comments. He was talking about the fact that comics are expensive, and then on top of that, you are putting out miniseries or books about characters that it's just like, who's buying this? Who is the target for this comic? At a high price point, readers are less likely to take risks, and you really have to be able to justify your investment. So when you get I'm not saying this because the book was bad, the book was really good. When you get a Thing book, a Thing miniseries, right? Who's the reader?
It's not who you picture as your average Marvel reader.
Right. Who did the editor, who did the people above the editor think was the target for this book when they went and got Walter Mosley and Tom Riley to make it?
Yep. Or I even think of like Joe Fixit coming out right now. Who is the target for that? Middle-aged people, that have disposable income.
Nostalgia.
Yeah.
Well, Higgins actually brought that book up. He said, I'm not going to find the verbatim, but he said the new Hulk book by Donny Cates and Ryan's not Ryan Stegman. Who's the Invincible artist?
Otley.
Thank you,
Otley.
Ryan Otley. Stegman, Otley. That book didn't connect. It didn't do that well. So why? And this is what he said. So why is Marvel publishing Joe Fixit? A Hulk book with less of a wide reach because it's stuck in the 80s or 90s or whatever.
And they've got a whole line of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it appeals to a generation of people who have disposable income and aren't, living paycheck to paycheck like a lot of the younger generation are.
Am I crazy too, or did we hear recently that those don't sell either? Who said that?
They do. I was going to say, at least those books, the Hulk one I don't agree with because Hulk wasn't doing well. But putting that aside, those books have a very specific target audience. And those are the exact same people with the buying power in comics. So at least there's a clearer understanding. Like whether if the books don't do well, they don't do well, but at least we understand like why you would publish this, who you're going after, and that's an audience that actually exists in comics.
Yeah, laser focused.
And if you're hitting that target, then it doesn't matter if it doesn't sell to everyone. You've got your target audience. You can say, well, we've got these. This is who we're aiming for.
Right. And I think that's something to seriously consider. A lot of times I look at these books, some of the X-Men comics, some of these other books, and I'm just like, why did I buy this? Who's this even for? Why is this a thing? And that's something that comics are going to have to confront themselves with. But $5, I think that's going to alienate way too many people.
Yeah, we might have to become the comics pirates.
Yikes.
Atomic Count said, as a boomer, which I think is the first time I've ever seen someone like embrace that. Good on you. As a boomer, the Marvel books I buy are nostalgia bait. Yeah, they know what they're doing.
Like my whole ass nickname.
True. That's
And guess what? When they start making nostalgia bait for Bendis era 2000s comics, I will buy the fuck out of them.
$8
they are.
on all.
World War Hulk is out.
Not when they're $20 a pop.
You're right. I will find another hobby.
I will open up my old New Avengers issues. Yeah.
Yep.
I will be eating those.
You might not even be able to read your Avengers issues because you'd be using it as a heat source.
What's Rebecca? What's wrong? You haven't even touched your new Avengers. new Brian Michael Bendis new Avengers.
You haven't touched your copy of Civil War #4. I thought that one was meaty.
I just couldn't believe the character assassination of Speedball.
Oh, whoa. Soft spot for me.
Again.
And Jose makes a good point. Piracy has never been more accessible. This is about to become a slaughterhouse for sales. This is something that creators talk about a lot. Creators get on social media and they complain about piracy and they talk about how much money they're losing from people pirating their content. But I don't hear the same conversation about the fact that people can't afford the damn books. You want to talk about why we lost generations of comic book readers? These don't have the money to buy comic books. If you're 14 years old, $5 you can afford one. That's all.
Yeah.
It's a $5 comic, or what? Like what's the average price of like a manga chapter?
Almost $10, right, Marco?
8 to 10.
A tankobon, like the actual tankobon that will contain maybe like 6 or more issues.
No,
like
that's too big for what we're talking about. What would be the equivalent of a comic book issue?
Like a floppy? Like one of the single chapters? I don't even know actually.
They don't release those
I think
individually.
I don't know that they sell it like that.
Well, I was talking about what Marco's talking about.
Yeah.
If those thick boys, right, are $8 or $10, the value proposition is insane
Right.
compared to buying a Western comic.
But it's because it's black and white. It's because it's a smaller format. Like there's other things in play there.
I'm not talking about that. I'm saying if you're 14,
right?
What are you gonna do?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. And even across the board here on YouTube in particular, we had a few people comment. Jose is only picking up 2 comics a month now. The budget threshold here has been like $5 to $6. Makes a lot of sense. Even like, what was it? Somebody said they were down 80%. Classy says cut 80% of the comics since it's been getting just expensive. People are just trade waiting now because that's more cost effective for them to get the same stories.
I wouldn't even say people are trade waiting. People are just giving up. I don't, because then that's money they have to then put into trades, which also are not going down in price.
They're not, but I think they're still more cost effective by issue.
Sure. Yes. That's undisputable.
Right. And like if the priority is I still want to read comics, but I want to find it even the cheapest way that I can, a trade's good. And then, or you wait the extra like month and a half after the trade releases and go on to cheap, what is it?
In stock trades or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. In stock trade or something.
Get the warehouse cost for it. Yeah. I saw the Gerard Way Doom Patrol on there. I was like, ooh, okay.
Just the thing, with rent, with food, with energy and comics, like I can't get around the fact that Nobody cares. Everything is going up. Everything is going up.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a shit. The people in charge don't care. They don't care about
Well,
you.
because the people in charge are the ones benefiting off everything going up because
But that's what
their
I'm saying.
stuff
For
goes
how
up.
long?
Yeah.
For how long?
Yeah, until we start doing what
Short-sighted.
Paris does,
Like-
honestly.
What does Harris do?
Riots.
Oh, Paris. I thought you said
Yeah.
Harris.
No,
was
no,
like,
I
what,
mean,
is
I don't know
he
if Harris is
lifting-
a rioter, but
Was he lifting weights about it? I don't understand.
Tyler, I just want to point out you're not serious. We're not trying to start a riot, right?
We should be.
for the benefit of the show, yeah, I agree with you, Sean.
Absolutely.
But also, do
absolutely.
what we got to do.
We would never advocate something like that. Jose says also because single issues are a gamble on whether they're good or not.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
I think that is a huge key factor. And to me, that speaks to what Higgins is talking about because comics marketing is butt. So before you buy the number one, it's not like there's like a great trailer, or anything like that. Like some Marvel comics have trailers, but you kind of have to piece together information from the internet. It's not like there's a commercial that's going to come on your television. You have to do your own research to find out whether or not you're going to like this book through whatever small pieces the companies will give you.
Yep.
And
Word
it's
of
like
mouth.
it's like an extra disappointment too when you pay for something and then it's like, ugh, that wasn't great. Like I know we have fans of like the Flash series right now, but like I was not a fan of that 1 minute war stuff. And like picking that up, I was like, ugh, and, yeah. I could have put that
Yeah.
towards, I don't know, lunch. You know what I mean? Like,
And that's a reasonable thought.
yeah, exactly.
It's unfortunate. I hope someone with a brain, just does something different here. I really do. And giving them all the benefit of the doubt in the world. It's like, hey, I know that Superman and Batman, their sales justify other comics' existence. So if you really, really want your Doom Patrol, you're probably getting it because Batman sells so well. If Batman didn't sell as well, these companies could take less risks on books like that. So, fair point. I still question who these books are for, and I still question if they have the value proposition that they did when I was buying comics in 2006. And those New Avengers, those Ultimate books, like everything you were buying was hot as hell, and they were $2 or $3.
And I was buying tons. I mean, to be fair, I was living at home still, I had a job at the time, so I was able to justify that. But dude, I was almost buying everything at a certain point.
Like I remember coming home with stacks.
Yeah, I
Just like,
remember it was a physical task coming
Yeah.
home sometimes.
I had to
like
walk
the-
up a hill to get to my
Yep.
parents' place. I was like, all right, we're ready. Let's go. We're going.
By the
Like,
time I walked home to my dorm in the city, like the plastic bag that I was carrying the books in was like strained. It was like, oh, all right, this
Yeah.
thing's falling apart. Yeah.
I wonder if there isn't like to introduce a cheaper segment of, because like one of the big things that we talk about is like there is no other adjustable market here, but we know that the manga format works with a large audience. Mimicking the format and just putting out a black and white comic, those people who you're going to alienate the people who already read your stuff, but we know that there's an audience that exists that reads black and white, that's okay with that level of paper stock, that understand the format and are willing to want to read that kind of book. And if it's getting produced by like getting the Bat manga out and having it be in the same format as a manga would, there's no disparity there for somebody who reads manga to be like, oh, hold on a second, like this is an offering by the company, whether or not they move into further comics, but you will now be catering to an audience that is okay existing in that space.
So they're just gonna charge them $8 a pop too.
But at that point, I'd rather $8 for that level of production because it'll be ideally cheaper to produce, and you can play with that format the same way that manga does.
But that's not how it's going to actually go, because we also know that comics creators in the West get paid more. And you also have to hire a letterer. You can't just get some, scab who needs a job to do it. You have to get Clayton Cowles, and you have to get people that can really do this job, and they have to get paid. Comics already has a problem with page rates, and they're $4 and $5.
But this is well, ideally would be less than that, because you don't need, you remove a colorist, you remove the weight of the actual production, you remove, and let's say you get a typical writer artist. That's not
What does
bad.
typical mean?
Like usually you'll have the artist and the writer be the same person on a manga.
Yeah, but how many people in comics can do that?
Well, why does it need to be a person who exists within comics already? You're catering to a different group of people. Why would that be a limiting factor? You don't need Mark Waid on a manga. Like, I don't know that he's going to write that well.
It sounds to me like what you're advocating for is finding creators who will work for cheaper and cutting out elements of what makes a functional Western comic to appeal to a different market, but they exist in this market.
Yeah, you want a new market to exist.
But
I don't think that the price would be as low as you think it is. I have a very, very hard time believing that if Marvel or DC published manga the same way that it's published elsewhere, that the price point would be the same. I have a very hard time believing that. I also have a hard time believing that non-traditional manga fans, who you also have to sell to, will be comfortable buying a book that doesn't feature creators that they know, doesn't have color to it, is in a different format. I don't think you can just change the whole thing and expect that you're going to be able to make the kind of money that you need to make.
And I'm not saying that it'll affect the main title. I'm saying this is where, let's say, a Doom Patrol, because they have dollars to produce a Doom Patrol, you can have dollars to produce a Bat manga, while still having a core Chip Zdarsky book on, or a Detective Comics there. Like it becomes additive. As opposed to.
Are you saying that needs to then supplement the cost of keeping main normal comics at an affordable price point?
What do you mean?
So what you're offering does not fix comic books. Then it just makes a new market. That's where I'm kind of stuck on it.
But I'm saying you need to tap into a new market and a new audience to grow.
I just have I'm struggling with the idea that people would buy into it. But that's a conversation that we will definitely be continuing to have in the future, because
and Atomic Count in the YouTube chat brings up a lot of interesting pirating facts too. Like I think Hawkman, Venditti's Hawkman, at least had the same amount of viewers, probably on one site, pirating his comic as did the sales of it. So driving people to piracy is now even more ruining sales.
Hey, so we're gonna do Twilight of the Superheroes here in a few minutes, but we do need to take a quick break. So we will be back in a few short minutes. If you're watching live, you will see us in a few minutes, and if you're not, this doesn't affect you. Be right back. Hello, we are back. Thank you guys for waiting. If you have, real quick, if you haven't yet, hit that like button on YouTube. Follow us on Twitch if you haven't. All the ways you guys know how to support us, we appreciate it as we dive into Twilight of the Superheroes Part 4. Twilight of the Superheroes is Alan Moore's would-be DC event that aimed to establish an endpoint for DC canon. It first surfaced online around 1995 as a pitch document and has been the subject of debate, scrutiny, and controversy ever since. This is part 4 of our deep dive into Alan Moore's Twilight of the Superheroes, the greatest comic story never told. Last week, I promised that this week we would get into the story of Twilight of the Superheroes. And I worked diligently to find a way that I thought made sense to present you guys what the story is. In the pitch document, Alan Moore lays the story out in a way that's quasi-readable, because there's a lot of anecdotes or things that he throws in, and it's not necessarily told in an order that allows for shock or reveals and things like that. So I tried to take what he wrote and put it in a narrative that's clean.
Sean, you did some deep internet searching, didn't you?
I really, really, really did.
You know how I know?
Go ahead.
One of the images you sent me is a non-animated GIF image.
Yo, that
So
was so weird. I was like,
wait, what? I haven't seen one of these in forever. It's back when I was making HTML pages for Neopets.
Wait, a non-animated what?
GIF image, GIF file format.
They were not animated before?
Oh my god. Oh,
this is
man. I forget how young you are
90s
sometimes.
internet.
Huh.
Your internet wouldn't have been able to handle that at the time, you know. So Tyler, as Tyler alluded to, I actually was able to find several more images of characters from this book drawn by creators that Alan Moore has worked with. And we will be showing you guys those here as we go forward. The way we're going to handle this is a little different than we have been, so bear with me. But without further ado, here we go. The story begins in a bar in 1987 New York. John Constantine drinks alone with a bitter, angry look on his face. In walks a gorgeous blonde who beelines for Constantine and asks him for a light. We then flash back to early as Constantine speaks to Rip Hunter, who tells him that he's from the future. To prove this, Rip tells John several things he could only know by learning them from Constantine himself. Rip tells John about the horrors of this dystopian nightmare he escaped from, and how John from the future actually helped Rip escape, and sent him to enlist John's help. Convinced, John agrees to use his connections with a variety of superheroes within the superhero community to warn them about this future in hopes that their actions can prevent it from ever coming to pass. We jump once again, this time to the future. It's 1995, and society is crumbling. A conglomerate of villains decide it's time to make their play for world domination and unleash a vicious attack. The Justice League decides they're done playing cat and mouse games with the world's supervillains and go on the offensive in order to not only shut down this campaign, but eradicate the threat of supervillains the world over. They enlist the aid of superheroes across the spectrum, and it works. It works so well that it shows the assembled group of heroes just how powerful they can be when they work together, and convinces them that their combined force is the only way to protect an uncertain, vulnerable world. United and paranoid, the heroes decide to push forward a motion to outlaw all aliens from Earth. A majority of heroes back this, leading to a schism among their ranks, with groups like the Titans backing away from the superhero community and the Green Lanterns banished due to their powers coming from alien technology and being governed by the Guardians. Now I'm going to stop. Tyler, whenever I say the name of a character, if you have an image for them,
Okay.
just show it, okay?
Okay,
Cool.
gotcha.
Some years later, the superhero community has splintered into houses, with the most prominent being the houses of Steel and Thunder. Superman and Superwoman's son, Superboy, is set to wed the daughter of Captain Marvel and Mary Marvel, Mary Jr. This is not a wedding happening as a result of young love. The two houses seek to merge in order to use their combined might against the remaining houses and rule over what's left after the war. As the wedding date approaches, both families are in states of turmoil. Superman and Wonder Woman fear what will happen when they can no longer keep their son's tendency towards sadism and cruelty a secret, and what might happen after he marries Mary Jr. They're also concerned about their daughter Supergirl, who has yet to find a suitor, and Captain Marvel Jr. has little interest in her. This is, of course, because he's having an affair with Mary Marvel.
Yo, that's right. Ew. Some Game of Thrones shit.
Which has been easy for them to keep hidden from the Captain because of his aloof behavior. Captain Marvel still struggles with his duality and prefers to spend his time in his human form, Billy Batson, whose mind ages but whose body remains that of a child.
What?
Ooh, interesting wrinkle.
Oh, you don't know. While Mary Marvel and Captain Marvel Jr. have long given up their human forms. Things have changed of late, though, as the Captain seems to be kinder, gentler, and more to his family, even if he avoids visiting old friends like Talkie Tawny. Mind you, everything that I say, I'm saying for a reason. So all of this, it's a story. All of this connects. The impending wedding worries the other primary houses. Houses of Titans and Justice chief among them. Nightwing, the cold, embittered, and ruthless leader of the Titans house, reaches out to the House of Justice leadership and even the House of Secrets, comprised of villains who manage to skirt the villain purge in hopes of forming an alliance of their own. They mutually realize the threat that a merged House of Steel and Thunder represent, so they agree to work together to shut them down and divvy up what's left of America between themselves. On screen, we're showing a rendition of Nightwing from this from Twilight of the Superheroes.
Whoa.
Yes, and so this was actually drawn by J.H. Williams and Mick Gray.
Wow.
Yes,
I can see
and
that now that you said that. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see it, right?
Yep.
It's for those of you who are only listening, it's Nightwing perched atop what appears to be something that should make us think about the Statue of Liberty, but isn't actually, I don't think. It's holding a flag that is representative of the Teen Titans. It's not the Nightwing we know. He's much more covered up, I would say. He's got some kind of a mask or visor on, something of
It
that
looks
nature.
like a
He
luchador
actually-
mask.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of reminds me
Booyaka.
of Hawkeye from Ultimates 3. Weird
Huh.
pull, but that's what I'm thinking.
Blind spot for me. Sorry.
It should be. You guys with me so far?
Yeah. Yeah.
Think so. Yeah.
All right, awesome. We'll continue.
I got questions, but I want to get the full
Oh,
picture. Yeah.
And the House of Justice was the JSA characters,
The
right?
Justice League holdovers.
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah. And I would imagine JSA as well, probably, but that he doesn't get that specific.
Okay.
Moving on, we shift over to the barrio, where the retired superheroes and superhero adjacent characters have made their home. It's a poor place with little hope to be found, and many of the locals spend their time at Sandy's, the primary bar within the barrio, run by Sandra Knight, once known as Phantom Lady. Patrons include characters like Blackhawk, who is preparing an army of young men to become Blackhawks as well and take the fight to the primary houses. So we also have an image of Blackhawk, which I was very surprised to see. This is by Timothy Truman. Truman created a cover for Miracle Man. That's the connective tissue.
Oh yeah, I can see this now. Yep.
Yeah,
His
and then
thighs
it's worth
are
pointing
killer.
out. J.H. Williams and Mick Gray were working with Alan Moore on Promethea.
Yep.
Oh,
So that's
okay.
the connective tissue on that one. This version, I don't know Black Hawk. I can't think of ever having seen Black Hawk.
There was
So
a
I have no
Lady
context.
Blackhawk that I think is more prevalent in modern continuity. That was on Birds of
I've
Prey. Yeah.
that character I've seen.
They're like it's like a part of the military stuff because
Yeah.
they were not alongside what's his face I'm forgetting what it is.
They were like
but
JSA contemporaries, I believe.
yeah, but I
Yeah.
think from like they're from Quality Comics, so like they came in later, got incorporated into DC.
And in this iteration, Black Hawk is struggling, I guess, with his history of war or his history of violence,
Mm.
and he has decided that he's going to conscript young men, like boys, into an army, because he can't let go of what he's been through, and he's tired of the superheroes, so he just wants to
Sure.
burn it all down.
Damn.
So that's what we're dealing with here. Moving forward, another important regular is Plastic Man, who has taken on a job as a prostitute.
No.
Could be whatever
He's
you
a
want,
lovable-
baby.
He's a lovable guy who uses his abilities to keep himself looking youthful, although signs of deterioration are visible beneath his clothes. He is the only employee of Seductive Winks escort agency, and his top client is Kathy Kane, who pays handsomely for his company.
Yo, he's the human fleshlight.
I don't like that.
I mean,
Keep that
someone
yeah.
with that power set, that seems like a realistic,
right.
career track. Like if somebody had those powers in real life, they would not be Reed Richards. They'd probably be this guy. This is just post superhero comics. This is classic Alan Moore.
And there are descriptions for a lot of characters that we might not necessarily get to, but I think more often than not, I was like, wow, that makes sense on Moore's part. The trajectory.
This is the one you picked.
Well, there are others as
Sure,
well. But
yeah.
I just thought everything I'm saying is important.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't have an image for this.
I wish I had.
Yeah, I could draw one real quick.
So I will continue now. It's here at Sandy's where John Constantine, a man who lives largely the same as he always did, making his way by getting over on people and putting that silver tongue to work, plots a scheme of his own. He's been spending his time of late reaching out to various patrons at the bar, but also using his connections to reach high up the food chain, even having personal access to Captain Marvel himself. He's made allies with nearly all the prominent figures within the superhero community, and they all believe him to be a friend. Constantine has found happiness in this dystopian world, essentially married to a woman he's been with for 15 years. He can't accept the state of the world, though, and feels compelled to do what he can to change it. Constantine's persistence eventually leads him to a meeting with a secret cabal led by none other than Batman, who, alongside the Shadow, Doc Savage, and Tarzan, have come up with a plan to eliminate all superheroes from Earth.
Pause.
Wait.
Tarzan?
Tarzan.
The Shadow and Doc Savage.
Yes.
This is the Didio thing that he was talking
The
about.
first wave. Yes.
First wave, yeah.
Yes. I'm so glad you said that. This reminded me of First Wave. This is it literally was Batman, Doc Savage, and I think the Shadow was there as well. So it is a similar idea.
I think yeah, you might be right. Just no Tarzan. Which
No.
They
I
could
don't
have
remember.
because that's public
Yeah.
domain, so I don't know why they didn't, but yeah.
Yeah. So
It's not a very powerful group though. Like there's a
on
power
its
set,
face,
like it's cool, but like
yeah. Well, if you want a good plan, as we know, Batman's the guy to go to, right?
True.
Mm.
Constantine promises to help them in their mission however he can. Meanwhile, the Question, an underpaid investigator who has little left in life other than finding answers, searches the barrio for information about a murder he's obsessed with solving, involving a little person who appears to have been killed by a 6'6" prostitute. Now, little person is my verbiage. That's not what Moore used.
Mm.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to. Yeah. So yeah, that's what's going on with the Question
Interesting. Okay.
this far.
But we know of only one prostitute at the moment.
There's a lot of prostitutes.
So it's worth me pointing out, Marco brings up a good point. There are a lot of prostitutes in the barrio. It's mostly prostitutes, panhandlers, drunks, people who are superhero or superhero adjacent, but who've kind of like given up in life, lost their way, things like that.
Become vagrants.
Yeah, it's like Amsterdam.
It's strange. I can't tell what Alan Moore's opinion on sex work is. It's either he's pairing them up with these, the bottom of society, or he's a big fan. So I can't tell.
I think it's probably both. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think Alan Moore has a negative feeling about poor people.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
No, it just is.
It just is, exactly. I think
Yeah.
he's using it to show how the
Yeah.
world has deteriorated.
Right.
This is like the last vestige of, people.
In general.
Yeah, who know what the world was like and how good things were and how good they personally had it. I'll make a quick aside actually about characters you all will probably be interested in. Green Arrow and Black Canary. They've retired as superheroes. They live in the barrio, but they've run an underground like newspaper where they're disseminating the truth about what's really happening in the world. And the Question helps them by giving them information that he comes across during his
Sean, one big question mark for me is, and feel free to stop me, but where's Lois Lane in all this?
Lois Lane is nowhere, I don't think.
Yeah, it just seems like that would be a good spot for her, but like she's not with Superman. Like it seems like a big question mark there that's not addressed. But.
Yeah, I can't recall a reference to Lois Lane.
Okay.
If I find one, I'll
that alone is interesting in itself. The complete lack of her too. Yeah, that's a complete disillusion of the humanity of Superman in a way.
I'm almost done, so let me just get through this last bit. With the wedding only days away, Constantine learns of yet another plot developing in the shadows. The alien races who've been exiled from Earth, including the House of Lanterns, which now exists on a moon of Mars, fear the possibilities of the Houses of Steel and Thunder combining, and how their desire for power might extend beyond Earth, creating a grave situation for the galaxy and beyond. Any approach would be seen coming a mile away by the likes of Superman. But luckily for the aliens, they have an ace in the hole. Adam Strange.
I can get in and out by the Zeta beam.
Oh. And we know that the Ranians and the Thanagarians are
The
on the side
Iranians?
of the Lanterns. Interesting. Yeah, Tyler, you missed that one last week. The Ron and
Oh, I
Thanagar
watched it.
that's right. That's right. Yeah, they teamed up. So, but you could also do that with magic, considering Constantine's there, right? He's not going to be able to see through that kind of stuff. Whoa.
And we do have an image of Adam Strange on the screen. This one was actually drawn by sorry, I think it was Gil Kane. Yes, it was Gil Kane who did Adam Strange.
Nice.
It's a pretty like quintessential
Yeah.
Adam Strange type of image. Doesn't really look like it's informed by the times they're in as much, but Adam Strange is kind of that type of character, I guess. Gil Kane's connection to Alan Moore is that he drew the Wild West segments in Alan Moore's Supreme and in Judgment Day, which was Alan Moore's aborted attempt to revamp Awesome Comics universe.
Yeah,
So
it's clean.
yeah, I think it looks great. This was my favorite one. This and the Nightwing one, I think. And then I did want to point out for the Marvel Family one, that was by Don Simpson, and Don Simpson worked with Alan Moore on Pictopia in 1963. So that, though, is where the story will stop for this week. We still have more story. There's still the other half of the story to go. And I still want to talk about the real life part of all this, which we still haven't touched on. There's a lot to go. But I've got a few more characters to show before we close out, and I did want to answer questions that you guys might have had. So I think we'll show those characters off and then we'll get into the questions. So the next character is Kong Gorilla.
Kong Gorilla?
Yes. Now
Yeah,
this was a
deep cut.
character
Yeah.
I don't even know who that is. At first I thought it was Gorilla Grodd. And I was like, yes, come on, let's go. But unfortunately it is not. Kong Gorilla is Congo Bill. And it says he eventually decided to stay in the body of a gorilla forever and is now quite a wealthy and successful local businessman. A golden gorilla wearing a business suit and even managing to talk just about recognizably, even if some of it has to be done in sign language. And there's more information. He's not really a prominent character, but we had this image, so I did want to share it. I thought this one was badass. It looks
Yeah, it's
really
fucking
good.
cool, dude. He's holding up
Yeah.
a skeleton and everything, or a dying person.
The trope of adventurer turned gorilla is ever present in comics. So this is DC's version of it. I think Gorilla Man is Marvel's version. Yeah.
Okay.
Very
Yo, put
almost
the-
1-to-1. Yeah.
Put this guy in Justice League Dark ASAP.
I believe this guy was a villain, actually. Something tells me he was a villain. I feel like I remember seeing him in like Legion of Doom, that big Jim Lee splash page, you know?
He's a villain in this story as well.
Okay,
Not
yeah.
he's not a player like that, but he is a villain. He runs a criminal organization, and the body that he's actually holding is himself.
Oh,
Interesting. Okay.
I don't know Congo Bill, but it appears that Congo Bill like can be in the body of the gorilla, but that at some point they were separated, I guess. And the body is Congo Bill's body that Kong Gorilla is holding.
Gotcha. I always thought it was like a transformation thing, but it's Alan Moore. Who knows?
I
think
thought
the idea,
so too, but it seems like more is
yeah, the idea of
breaking that up.
separating them, but then being the same person is very big Alan Moore brain stuff. So
yeah.
So Alan said, unable to bring himself to kill it outright, Kong Gorilla keeps the shackled and naked old man in special rooms at his apartment, feeds it garbage, and hopes it will die soon, but it doesn't. It just lays in the corner and snarls weakly when he enters and fixes him with its ancient glaring eyes as he gives it its food.
I have a question specifically about Kongorilla, though. Imagine you're the editor at DC Comics. Alan Moore gives you this huge pitch, and like Kongorilla's a part of it. Like, what are you thinking? Like, like really, like Al, we need to pare this down a little bit.
His role is so minimal that he won't get another mention from me. He's just not relevant.
Who's the artist on this one, Sean?
So this one is Stephen R. Bissett. Bissett worked with
yep.
Alan Moore on Swamp Thing,
Yeah.
in 1963. So
Oh shit.
yeah,
I do like all his buddies, you know, are doing art for this. Yeah.
and so it's worth pointing out. I don't know the full story behind this because again, we're going old internet, but I believe that these were actually all commissioned by the same person. The same
interesting.
individual
Okay.
reached out to these creators specifically and asked them if they would do these renditions for money.
Hold on. I think I have, because this I just googled Congo Bill, and it's a gold gorilla.
Yeah.
And I think I have an annual from Swamp Thing with Bissett and Moore. Hold on, give me a second.
With Kongorilla?
With Kongorilla.
Oh, that's so cool.
Hold on.
It would also explain why this is so good because this one is very
Yeah, it's
detailed.
cool. Yeah.
From a detail standpoint, it's probably the best one.
Nothing like a gorilla smoking a cigar.
With a dead,
Well,
an
naked old
almost
man.
dead body in his hands. Yeah, cradling a corpse. We've got a couple more.
The next one is horrifying.
So the next one is Doll Man. And so Doll Man is dealing with an issue where his constant size changing has taken a toll on his body, leaving him insect-like and lacking human intelligence. And so he's like really long. His limbs are long and very creepy. He's only I believe he's 6 feet, but it's like it's in his legs and arms.
It's length. Not height.
And if you can see it, it's really disturbing. If you're a podcast only listener, I highly encourage you to get the YouTube video of this, and we've always got the timestamps. Jump over to this part and see this because it's really weird.
In the idea of this being a natural, I guess, end point for a guy whose ability is to turn small,
Right.
is creepy.
It really
This guy was part of like what was it? Freedom Force, I believe. Uncle Sam's team.
Oh, Uncle Sam is another relevant character here.
Alan Moore loves Uncle Sam.
He said that was his favorite character to write in all of the.
Yeah.
I couldn't find it, but I'm gonna post it in the Discord because I know I have it.
Awesome.
Who
Yeah,
drew
I'd
this
like
one,
to see
Sean?
that. Yeah, so this one is by John Tuttleben.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Also, he's so Bissett was the penciler, and Toddleman was the inker on Swamp Thing.
Okay. And so Tuttleben worked on Swamp Thing, as Marco pointed out, also Miracle Man and 1963.
Yep.
So very cool.
Wait, who is this guy?
Dollman.
This
the
is
Freedom
this is
Force.
Dollman.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm. And then the last character that we have to show off here is Dead Man,
Oh.
who is now an amalgamation of himself and Baron Winter. Winter's mind has long been burned out in a psychic battle, leaving an empty shell that Dead Man has taken refuge in. So on screen we do have that. It's a weird concept. I don't know much about either character.
Winters.
He's done it in the past. Where this is cool. This is Rick Veitch.
Yes, nailed it in one.
Yep. Also Swamp Thing collaborator. And has gone to do other stuff. Aquaman's a really good run that he has, but Dead Man has done this in the past where he will incorporate himself into a body and take it over. There's 6 issues of a crossover with the Challengers of the Unknown and Swamp Thing as well, where he goes into the body of Swamp Thing, and they think that they're teaming up with this character, but it's really Boston Brand guiding and doing everything so that he can communicate with them for some sort of force that they have to fight together.
I like how Marco doesn't know the original use of a GIF file format, but he could just say, "Oh, that's Rick Veitch,"
Easy.
So now, before we close, you guys said you had questions. What are your questions?
I have questions that I don't think you can answer. Mostly, these seem to be Baron Winters. He is scraping the bottom of the DC barrel for a lot of these character points, and part of me wonders, is this
He's touched
too
on
much?
all of these though? All of these were previous characters that he touched and played with. So he's pulling from his sandbox, if anything.
But when I look at pitches, and I've written pitches for stuff before, this seems very involved. At least what's out there, almost too much. Where I can see this being so big and so intricate that I'm no. As an editor, I'd be all right, it's too much. Can't do that. And also, it's a little weird. Is choices.
I think in the case of this particular pitch document, it exists more. It's a ramble. It's a way for Moore to get all his thoughts about it and all his concepts into one document and then work from there. I'm pretty sure, based on having read the whole thing, that Dead Man, Kongorilla, Doll Man wouldn't have had any story relevance other than just being in the barrio and maybe having a speaking moment where, oh yeah, haha, I have if you're Kongorilla, haha, I have a dude in my apartment that's dying, things like that, but we wouldn't actually spend much time with those things.
It's more like when you got the old Star Wars Cantina people action figures and they had all the backstories on the back of the action figure pack.
And it's important to remember, this is supposed to be the end of DC.
Yeah.
So he's saying goodbye to all the characters for the most part, with a special attention paid to characters that he actually likes.
Mm,
So
that
you'll
makes
notice
sense.
like no actual Supergirls here, only the daughter of Superman and Superwoman, who is Wonder Woman. That's Supergirl. There's no what's her name, Kara Kent. She's not a part of this.
The other thing too that I'm wondering is like, I mentioned First Strike or whatever. That's what it was, right?
Yeah.
First
Wave.
First Wave. How many? I'm wondering how many DC events subsequent to this pitch have existed because of this being an idea in the comic book fandom that has been just absorbed into like the consciousness of everyone, that it's just like this has been the seed that's grown in a lot of different events going forward. Like even the fact that like it sounds like a DC Civil War too at the beginning there, that caused like the registration of aliens and kicking them out. Like, could that have been the impetus for a Marvel idea? Like we'll never know because it's just not how ideas work. But this just seems like a primordial goop of event comics, really, even more so than Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah, I think that heroes fighting heroes is something that Alan Moore probably wasn't too riveted by,
Sure,
as a general concept. But I think when you add in all the sort of, as you said, primordial goop elements of it that stand the test of time, because we've seen them for all time. Gods fought. We when you read about those mythological characters, you see a lot of battles, and whether they're detailed in the way that a comic book script would be, that these wars are occurring. And so I think Alan Moore is really extrapolating from that. But to your point, especially as we go forward, there is a remarkable amount of things that happen in the intervening 30 plus years in comics from this.
And my curiosity is that just because of just us and writers just getting the same ideas through like message boards, or just like part of the consciousness, or like does DC just go to this occasionally because they would have the rights to this pitch, right? If they had it somewhere in a draw, could they be like, oh, this sounded good, here's something we can take out of that, and like dissect it? Like I don't know if that's a possibility.
Well, you said that, and Sean had a cheeky smile, so I don't know.
I'm sure that's what Alan Moore thinks.
I'm sure that's going to be the topic of the next edition of Twilight of the Superheroes.
Me getting ahead of you came in handy for once.
I'm really curious if you guys enjoyed the presentation of the story this way. I chose to write it out. I just felt like that would work better. I enjoyed it, so I want to know if that worked for you, if that presentation worked for you guys. Are you still on the hook, and what questions do you have? I would love it if by the end of this we had a bunch of listener questions that we could just tackle if they've not yet been answered by our weekly series. So Tyler, Marco, are you the read there?
I thought it was good. Yeah, I thought it was, especially the way you described it not really being cohesive or coherent. You did that. So, yeah.
Yeah, they piece it together. This has been hyped in just the concept and the structure. But to like now have it play out, I think, that's really cool.
I wonder if we can get someone on the show who might have worked on DC comic events and throw this idea to them to see if they have any opinions on this story.
Opinions on the story itself?
Yeah. Or has, any familiarity with it.
Man, if only we had podcast. That's it.
If only we had a creator coming on the show that would probably definitely know about this. But
I would feel so weird asking Jeff Johns about this. I don't know why, but I would just feel so weird. I'm curious, but I don't know if I'm curious enough to ask, and that might change in the coming days.
We could do some off the air stuff,
Yeah, that's true too. Atomic Hound says, "Is the reason so many fictional futures are dystopian really a call now to keep us moving forward. Do you mean that the point of them is to force us to think about what could happen if we keep doing the wrong things? Because if that's what you mean, I'm pretty sure that's the case.
Yeah,
I think
that's just,
the best example of that is Terminator 2. That's literally what that movie's about, and it functions similarly to Twilight of the Superheroes in that it shows us the life we're living and how that's not that great anyway. But then it also shows where things will go.
Yeah. I think that's just dystopia in general. Like I think of like
Yeah.
Soylent Green, that movie. Like it's just like, all right, this is the ultimate end of what our current reality could be. Let's
Exactly.
not get there because it ain't good looking. You know,
It's a warning.
Yeah.
It's a warning. And thank you for the compliment. I'm glad you felt it was excellent, Atomic. Next week, be interviewing Jeff Johns, Saturday, April 1st, 4 p.m. Eastern. Or I'm sorry, wow,
Whoa.
1 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
My apologies. 1 p.m. Eastern. It will be live. We will be live with Jeff Johns. I hope that you guys decide to come and, check that out. Come ready with your questions. You really should submit them beforehand if you would like a chance at the Jeff Johns Geiger giveaway, which you can enter by really simply being a Twitch and YouTube subscriber. Well, a YouTube subscriber, a Twitch follower. Submit your question before the day. So March 31st is the cutoff day.
Yeah.
If your question or comment comes in after that, I will no longer be considering them for the episode.
And also, like, Junkyard Joe will be done by the time we talk to him next week. So if you guys, have been looking for a reason to read it, it'll be completed. You can pick up all the issues. Or if you have been reading it, if you got questions on that, because I think a lot of it's going to be talking about Junkyard Joe too. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, come prepared to hear us talk about Junkyard Joe. I think we'll do, we'll obviously talk more about the Johns hits.
Plenty of questions.
Yeah.
We didn't even scratch the surface last time.
Yeah, exactly. We will need your help to combat the Snyder bots who allegedly will be flooding us that day. We'll see if that really happens.
I think I got it under control. I think we'll be okay.
Good. Yeah. It's gonna be a fun time. We're really excited about it, as you could probably tell. Other ways to support the show, of course, patreon.com/thecomicspals. If you enjoy what we do, if you enjoy these deep dives, if you enjoy our long form conversations, showing your support means a lot to us. That's the best way to do it. It's a direct sign of your support and your interest in what we do, and it helps us continue to do what we do and actually to expand. And you guys will continue to see some of that expansion as we go forward. And we appreciate everybody who chooses to support that way. Short of that, showing up for the live streams helps. Telling your friends helps. Liking our stuff helps. Sharing it, tweeting it helps. All that stuff's great. Appreciate every single person who chooses to do those things. We've got a book club coming out on April 4th. Far Sector, be there for that. Tom King, Mitch Gerrits, who am I missing? Doc Shaner on Strange Adventures. Listen to that book club. That's out now. That was a hot fire one. Give that a listen. Plugs, Marco.
Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of the Comics Pals. You can follow me at Mr. Marco Anamoto on Instagram and Twitter. I have restarted watching romance anime, and so please come talk to me about your thoughts and opinions on your favorites, love at large, and slice of life, because I'm into that shit right now. I just started My Dress Up Darling, and it's cute as fuck.
Your what?
My Dress Up Darling. And it's
What the hell is
cute. It's good stuff. Really good animation. The story so far is really cute, and I'm afterwards gonna be watching, I think, maybe Rent a Girlfriend. I gotta figure that one out. It's between that one or like one other, but we'll see. Come talk to me about romance anime, regardless.
You can follow me at the Tyler Olson on Instagram and Twitter. Talk to me about Diablo 4 because I've been playing that beta. And oh boy, that's fun.
I gotta get in on that.
It's open right now. It's open weekend.
I've only played Diablo like once. I played like Diablo 2 once with a friend.
You're gonna get Diablo finger though. Like my hands are already hurting. Like it's not even the full release of the game, and I'm already getting cramped up. I'm old.
I don't know, dude. When you pull kill Jaden 300 plus times in World of Warcraft,
Yeah.
I'm immune to the gaming
yeah.
finger. Like, I don't know why, but I'm good.
They
Yeah,
don't
like
have,
anchor arms for a hand.
They don't have like mice that are optimized for that kind of shit, or you can like.
Well, fair. Diablo can be played on a controller, and the beta is out on PlayStation and PC, I believe, and Xbox as well. So that's throwing that your way, Marco. If you have any consoles that you want to play it on,
The Switch.
not on the Switch.
Nope.
Actually, I think it will be coming to the Switch. I don't know.
I think it's releasing on Switch. I don't know if the
Yeah, I don't think the
beta's
beta's on there.
Switch.
Oh, okay.
As for me, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram only at Sean Soapbox. I've been thinking a lot about Alan Moore lately, and I think that my perspective on him might be changing. So
Negative or positive?
We'll talk about that in the future.
Okay.
But so yeah, if you've got Alan Moore thoughts, share those with me. I'm really excited for Jeff Johns and can't wait for that. So that's what I'm focused on. Thank you guys so much for listening. We really, really appreciate you. Your love and support means the world to us, and we are looking forward to celebrating next week when we have Jeff Johns on the show. I'm looking forward to a very, very fun episode. So join us for that. Until then, we're the Comics Pal signing off. Take care, guys.
See you
See-
next week. Oh wait,
Oh, we
damn
tried
it!
to
Oh
vote
god,
good.
we didn't plan that. Who was gonna do
No,
that?
we
All
did
right,
it.
Whatever.